Good evening, everybody. Welcome to London Station. This is the London Hour. It's not in London, it's not an hour, but I'm here to share thoughts, commentary, and opinions with you about tabletop role-playing games and your other favorite forms of entertainment. However, tonight we're doing something special. We're bringing a little friend on the station, Vice Captain, who many of you in my community know. Great friend and VTuber, entertainer. We're going to get on into all sorts of things. They've got a history in tabletop role-playing games. They've got a history in video games. They've got a lot of opinions about music and their tastes. So this is going to be fun. You're really just going to be able to watch two buddies hanging out, having a good time. So we're going to get chatting with them. I kind of messed up my music transition here, but using a lot of new tech today. So if it works at all, it's a win for us, and so we're happy about that. So let me see here. I gotta switch this out. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, but happy to see you here. Happy to see you, Cheeky and Zach, in the chat, and Dicey. Glad to have you on board. We're going to talk about RPGs, for sure. That's going to come up. Anyway, all of Vice's links and all his stuff are in the description. God willing, I put it in there. I probably did. That sounds like something I would do. But anyway, yeah, he's doing his intro with his group over there. Now, Vice is over on Twitch, actually. So, a little bit different world over there on Twitch. So, while we're talking, you know, people might do things like do redeems or like, I don't know, hype trains or stuff. So, there might be times where he's like, oh my gosh, thank you for the hype trainer. Whatever's going on, and we're just going to roll with it. So, it's going to be all good. I've got his chat pulled up on my screens as well. I have so many things pulled up on my screens, guys. You can't believe the 2 screens is not enough for this gig. I swear. So, anyway, we're getting there. We're putting it together. He's doing his intro there. And I think, let me pause this and go back to this song. And we'll get that one going. Everybody loves this tune. Except for it's about to end as well. Bridging the veil between platforms. Yeah, we're going to talk, I think, well, I know what we're going to talk about because I'm asking the questions. Ha ha ha. We're going to talk about YouTube and Twitch. We're going to talk about VTubing versus what they call flesh tubing, which is, you know, sure is a phrase. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about our history in role-playing games, history in video games, that sort of thing. And it looks like we're just about ready to come over, so give me 1 second.
Switch us over to this other view where we've me here. So 1 second. Do that and bounce us over to here. So hey, what's up? How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing? I probably flubbed a little bit of that. But it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Look, that's the other thing. When you're working with a VTuber, just expect a level of scuff. It's always bad.
yeah. Well, and I was just saying
it. Just ask all my friends how great it is. Where it's like half the time it's like we set stuff up and it breaks. That's the running gig.
Yeah. Well, I was just telling in my intro, we're gonna have some differences here because you're over there in the Twitch world, right? And I'm over here on YouTube. And there's a we're gonna talk about this. I'm gonna ask you questions about it because there's a very big difference in how these platforms interact. Whether they're designed to be interactive or not. And so I'm like, yeah. So for those of you on my side, you can see Vice's chat there is right there next to his head. And my chat is down below him. So I got both on screen. I just learned so much tech in the last hour you wouldn't believe to pull this off. And everything's working. So you can't go wrong with that. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, Vice, I guess I should do an intro for you. Vice Captain, a good friend of mine who I found through just the wanderings around Twitch. You're what I describe as an entertainer, a showman, video game player. You got a lot of critical eye for video games, music, all sorts of cool stuff, and we're going to get into a lot of it tonight. Is there anything else people should know about you that I omitted other than the fact that your channel's live as well? You can go check out Vice and follow over there for sure. But we're glad to have you on board. How you doing?
Oh, thank you so much. It's funny. I'm doing pretty good. I think you kind of nailed it. Although I have to laugh. It's like showman. I try my best.
Yeah, we're gonna get into it. We had
getting nervous about it, but
we had a conversation about a month ago, maybe a bit longer even. And I think that planted the seeds for me. I was like, I need to interview my guy someday and just talk about this because one of the things that fascinates me about I don't know how you feel about this term. We're content creators. How do you feel about the term content creator?
it's kind of funny as someone with oh man, it's really funny because yes, under technicality reasons and like categories, yes, we're content creators, we're technically influencers in a sense, even though smaller scale, still technically are. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
funny when you think about it that way, but is what it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, literally, it's funny. I haven't even thought of the word influencer since I started my channel. But you started your channel what? I would say it's about almost 2 years, or just you just had a 2 year thing recently.
So, okay, it's actually kind of a funny long story
Good.
if you really want to know.
Oh, of course we do.
Um, So, okay, so you're gonna laugh at this because how I actually got my start with like streaming and stuff was a very long time ago. I used to just use my Twitch channel as like a screen share for me and my friends who would hang out in VC.
Oh, funny.
So it would just be raw gameplay, no audio, no mic, no nothing,
Yeah.
and that's like how that started. Like what, like a decade ago? My Twitch channel's old, but then it's like I want to say sometime, just say like maybe like my last year of college or something like that, like my last 2-ish years. I was like, you know what? A friend of mine, a friend of a friend who I met, was actually Kyle,
Right
and
on.
we were talking, and at that point, Kyle was someone who streamed a lot more than I did. They streamed World of Tanks and like Hearthstone, and that
Yeah.
was just really like what they did, and we were good friends, and we just kind of went from there. We played like a bunch of just nonsense stuff, or like originally they were just someone who streamed a lot, and we would just like mess around with them. Like I think some of my favorite old clips were Kyle playing Dark Souls 2, and we just constantly trolled the shit out of him. We would invade his world. He had a music bot where we would just slip in innocuously named files to just blast the audio on his stream back in the day.
Yeah.
Like a lot of stuff that you would have expected. Um, Eventually, what ended up happening was like after a while, it was really funny because oh, hey, we're gonna. It was really funny because like after some time, because me and Kyle have been like friends for a while, and we watched like a lot of the same content on YouTube. We
Right.
watched a lot of stuff like what's it called, like Super Best Friends, and like Matt, Pat, and Wooly, and a lot of these guys that they basically did what were YouTube Let's Plays, but it was
Yeah.
like hyper casual, very shit posty. Basically, just a couple of friends riffing through a game, playing through like an old Retsu play, if you even know what that is. Um,
I don't know much. That's the funny thing
then
about. So the funny thing about me having
yeah,
you on and talking about like your history and like your gaming history is I'm like, I mean, we probably had origins in gaming around the same time, but there's so much that like I was just out of the picture of for like 2 decades.
yeah,
So I'm like, yeah,
yeah.
the early Pokemon games and like some early GameCube stuff, and then like 20 years, and like somewhere in there is some
Mhm.
Minecraft for me, and that's about it. And I so
Yeah. It's funny because it's like okay, this is gonna sound so lame. Like, yeah, so like the two best friends guys, they started off as like old Machinima content creators that basically did like hypercuts of their Let's Plays and just uploaded it to Machinima. And it was very comedic. It was stuff like that. And we were friends of that, like friends that enjoyed that type of content. And
right.
ultimately we were like, you know what? I was looking for a reason to play through some of these older RPGs that I did, and I was like, well, why don't I just stream us going through like SMT1? And he was like, you know what? Let's do it. Why not? It'll be fun. And then it just kind of turned into, oh god, you could tell we were like bored because we were like every day after whatever, either like he finished up his shift at work or I like got out of class or like a night class or whatever. I'm like, fuck it, let's fire up the stream for like a couple hours and like play some ancient video game with a 2000 translation that no one is ever gonna know or care about,
Sure.
and let's just see where we go from there. And it turned into like some of the oldest VODs on my channel where it's me and Kyle playing through Shin Megami Tensei 1, which doesn't have an official English release. Or correction, it had one on the iPhone, which no one will ever play because it's discontinued and you can't buy it. Um, Look, you see what I mean? It's like, how did we even get here? I don't know, bro. We somehow ended up there, and we just kind of became. those weird guys that people would just like hang out and listen to us just shoot the shit. And it was a
Yeah.
lot of just us just rambling, looking through GameFAQs guides that are badly written.
Mm-hmm.
Or my favorite
And
one, the
GameFAQs, yeah,
guide was
that takes me back.
disavowed by the creator because they converted to Christianity. So they said, I disavow this guide that I have written because I do not align with the morals of the game anymore. And I'm like, okay, that's you do you. That's the weirdest thing to read at the bottom of a GameFAQs guide.
That is
You
pretty
know what I
strange.
mean?
Yeah, that probably tops it for me. I tell you what. Okay, so in the context of like
Mm-hmm.
streaming and like holding space for people in community, like I'm always ranting about this in my community.
Oh yeah.
And I have for those if you're on Vice's side and you don't know who I am, hi, I'm London. I've been in and around chats and sort of this VTubing circle for I'd say about a year and a half, and kind of just very interesting life circumstances that kind of brought me there as a safe haven and a place to find community. But it's funny now that I think about it. I kind of had forgotten how much community I found in the randomest of places on GameFAQs. You'll probably remember they used to have the game boards, and then they would have the social
dude,
boards.
when I was younger, I used to live on those boards, dude.
Yes.
Like
Okay, but
I
Vice,
hate I
I was on
used
them
to
back on
be an old
dial-up.
GameFAQs forum person. As a kid, I just loved it. Like I used to go there all the time, like reading Pokemon stuff or just
Yeah.
like nonsense like that. I'm like, ugh.
So there was one particular. So every release had its own boards, and
Hmm.
for whatever reason, like certain groups would just find each other. And there was one particular board. It was for Tales of Symphonia, specifically the GameCube release, specifically the social
Hmm.
board. In that group, I found
Hmm.
like people that I would probably reach out to today still and just be like, how's your life? Like one of them is a nuclear physicist now, and I'm just like, what's going on?
It's so
Um,
funny.
but yeah,
I
that
can
sense of
relate on
community is
that for
like
sure.
so huge. So like, yeah, getting started in this, from it's fascinating to hear about how it kind of can start as like this hobby, this kind of like, hey, let's just mess around and play these games and hold space for friends and stuff. Whereas
Mhm.
like I wasn't around that. I didn't have that. I didn't really even start watching, I guess, any sort of content meaningfully until maybe, I don't
Mhm.
know, 7 years-ish ago. And that was just like,
Mhm.
Minecraft videos and like SMPs and things like that, and kind of got into following through gaming. But my whole story, this is where I was going to say, if you're not familiar with me on Vice's side, if you go to my channel, there's a 8-ish minute video where I'm reading an article I wrote for my channel, which tells the story of how I got here and why I'm here. So I don't need to rehash it for y'all here today. But yeah, it's always fun to think back, like how did we get here? It's very strange. And then that goes into like, how you and I crossed paths, which is really just, I mean, I don't know, like what's your first memory of even like crossing paths with me? Probably just in some chat of somebody's stream, probably Hime.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
If I had to be specific, I think it was something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Himetsugi, mutual friend, great friend and partner in streaming and all that good stuff. But if you want to hear more about Hime, they can get their own interview.
Mhm.
um,
And look, it's funny because even I have a funny story about like how even I met Hime and stuff like that. But
yeah.
I'll save that for a little bit later because I want to first tell you the funniest thing about like what really got me to sort of where I am now was like, so yeah, originally when me and Kyle, I have to laugh because like I would say there's like, if I had to jokingly say, like, we're in the third era of me streaming, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, where the first one was um as I jokingly call, the most guerrilla streams ever, where there's no camera, no nothing. It's our voices, a PNG of the game box on the right hand side of the screen, and the game on the middle of the screen.
That's beautiful.
And that's why, like, when I do that retro setup whenever I'm doing Xenosaga or something, that's why it looks like that. I dug up the old files that I
Oh
had and
man.
just loosely recreated that setup. And it for a long time, like it's funny because in hindsight now, like I look back at that and it's like you'll see um a lot of what really still happens today at some extent. If you ever hang out with us on a Thursday stream, you can already see now it's the same thing but with a little bit more flair now.
Yeah.
Where, I figured um there was like a period of time. Okay, there's something I do want to talk about. So because we played a lot of these older games, you would get like a lot of these like the really gatekeepy people. And this does happen when you're playing a lot of old niche RPGs and niche games. You get like hyper fans, turbo fans, a lot of like the people that are just like, I get it, okay? You know what I mean? Like, I get it. You're never gonna change your mind, a bunch of other stuff. And it does get very frustrating.
I bet.
And some people are nice enough to want to sit down and have a conversation. Other people will just call you a slur and then move on. So, you know what I mean? It's like, whatever. You kind of had to deal with it. There was a period of time when it was just like constant frustrating stuff. And I'm like, okay, look, you guys are kind of annoying. And it's like, it was weird too, because like, since this was, I want to say, around the time we were going through like a lot of the retro Megaten games, some of the big issue that we kind of had was there was sort of a change in the community of that like franchise, where we were seeing a lot of the older fans sort of phase out, where there's no nice way to say it. Some of them were just mean and hateful, but a lot of them kind of left. And a lot of the newer fans were awesome. Like, I'm friends with a good number of these people. A lot of the newer content creators that are really nice. Some of the artists in the community are awesome. Shout outs to Phil, who hangs out in chat every once in a while. And they're one of the more known artists in the community. And, it's really dumb seeing that a lot of these like older gatekeeping people were just like shitting on them. And I straight up had to like call them out. I'm like, you are the reason why the community dies. Because if you're gatekeeping new people from wanting to come in and check these things out, whose fault is it other than you? Because you're slamming the door in their face of people who want to like learn about this stuff or check out an old game. But the thing is, these old games are either hard, annoying, or kind of like frustrating to get into. So it's like, it's totally, I will tell you, if you personally can't get into an older game by playing it, that's totally fine. These games are designed for like different people. And if you just want to like watch someone go through it, and you can go through with us in the motions, like, I think one of my favorite clips will forever be where it's just teleport to the disco, where one of the puzzles, and this is, I say puzzle in a loose quotation mark because this is just user error, where so we had to go into a disco on a full moon so you can have a disco battle with Mr. Thriller, who is, yes, exactly who you think he is.
Okay.
And you had to do it on a full moon because he's only there on a full moon. Now, here's the catch. Every step you take in this old Megaten game, the moon starts to cycle its phases. So we realized mathematically we screwed up, and every time we got there, it was no longer a full moon, because you have to walk to the club, enter the club, walk to the back of the club, and by the time you talk to him, it won't be a full moon anymore.
That's
and I'm like,
wild.
Are you shitting me?
That's wild.
Now, here's the other thing. So we get to him on a full moon. You want to know the icing on the cake here?
Yeah.
We lost the dance off to him because our magic skill was too low, because who in the game would tell you that the magic is a dead stat? It does nothing in the game except win the dance off. So we sat there stunned, and I'm like, are you shitting? So I'm like, all right, I go back out. We grind for another 2 hours. I get the magic stat that I need. I teleport to the disco. We walk the exact number of steps, and we win the dance off, and we get the stupid puzzle piece that we need. And you literally hear me yell, like, thank God, holy shit. Like, we're just screaming. It's like, it's finally over.
You know, it's funny. There's
and that
like...
was all for something that in the guide, they wrote, this should be easy. It'll be like 5 seconds. And I'm like, yeah, okay, thanks, asshole.
It's funny, like, these old games with their quirks and their jank and whatever, there is kind of like a movement, and there has been for a long time. This is weird. I had a friend in college who was writing a gaming zine, and so we were both in the editing program, and so I was helping him do editing passes for it, and then I wrote an article. I actually wrote an article about Pokemon Nuzlocke playthroughs, and I know you've just recently started a randomized Pokemon Nuzlocke playthrough. So if anybody listening is not familiar, you probably all are, but I'll say it anyway. A Nuzlocke campaign is this notion that, and there's different variants, so this is broad overview, but you're playing a Pokemon game with some self-imposed rules, and the rules are generally the first Pokemon you encounter in a particular route or zone is the only one you can catch, and if you screw up and kill it, you don't get to keep it. And then another rule, there's really only 2 main rules. The other rule is that if a Pokemon ever faints, you have to go into the computer system and release it, because there's a release mechanic in all the Pokemon games. Basically, it's dead. And then you have to like adjust your entire playthrough, and it forces you into these narrower channels that allow you, ironically, to explore more depth of the game sometimes than you would if you just played straight through and did Route 1 and took your starter to the max level and just blew everything away with flamethrower, right? So there's this trend of like, and this is with streaming content as well, of, making your own rules and your own variants. And, I don't fully understand the whole archipelago thing, but I understand it's in the same world of like, let's make things restricted and give you, unique stories that come out of it. So your story about this dance off was like something that was hard coded into the game that it was just irritating to try and get to. But you still have people like modern gamers who are kind of chasing that sense of like artificial difficulty that somehow makes it more impactful at the same time.
I can kind of relate to that because it's funny. Like I'm doing this Nuzlocke recently, and previously I've done Nuzlocks of each of the generations up to this point on stream, and I can tell you for a fact there are definitely some times where I've had like a lot of ups and downs in these things.
Yeah.
And I will say, to me, that's like the best part about the Nuzlocke. I think like the Nuzlocke stream from last week, for example, was hilarious because Cassie somehow convinced me to do it as a randomizer. And I'm like, you know what? Why not? It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it was definitely interesting, I'll tell you that much, because I was not expecting half my team to get killed by one single mon that I thought was going to be a joke. And it was not a joke. And it, like, wiped half my team. And then now I'm stuck with a Whismer again. And I'm like, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. I guess this is just my life now. So, you know what I mean? It's like, it's the fun story that you tell through... This is going to sound silly. Are you familiar with the terms diegetic and non-diegetic?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
It feels like it's the diegetic storytelling of the game, just like the way things pan out differently from what's happening. And it's just, you know what?
Right.
That's what it is. It works. And that's honestly the fun part, because it's like you couldn't have scripted something like that. You know what I mean? It's like it just happened, and I'm like, you know what? That's for the best.
Well, and it's, we'll probably pivot back to video games. We're just going to wander all over the place. But like when I hear the term diegetic or anything of that sort, and I think about, pivoting and all that stuff.
Devil. There you go.
That was Cassie in chat. Hey, Cassie. I have been summoned, yeah. That immediately takes me into, tabletop role-playing game world. And so if you're not familiar, the term diegetic is kind of the sense that like what you progress with in the game happens because it actually happens in the game. And a good example of this, even though I haven't played it, I just happen to know Earth Dawn is a game from, ye old past. Earth Dawn 4th edition, I think, where basically to learn spells, you need to actually like go find someone who knows the spell and can teach you the spell. You don't just like level up and learn new spells. You have to actually go and be taught the spell. So that's an example of diegetic. It's when the result in the game emerges from the thing you actually do in the game. And so there's a marriage between the narrative and the mechanical progression. But to pivot then to tabletop role-playing games, as you can see, I've got my Pathfinder 1 books right behind me here. I know that was a game that you spent a lot of time in. And I was going to say, because I'm all over the place, I was thinking about Pokemon, and I was like, oh, what was your first Pokemon generation? I was going to tell everybody. Now, Vice is a little younger than me, but the joke is that you're old. That's the running joke, because your first game was, what, 3.5? Dungeons & Dragons 3.5?
Okay, all right. I have to explain this.
Yes, you do.
This is the funniest thing ever, and it's a question that when is asked, it like the immediate follow-up is, are you 40 years old? And the answer is no. No, I'm not. I'm sorry. So for a long time, okay, how do I explain this? This is really funny. So, my long-running D&D group is actually a couple of my friends that now everyone's a little bit more familiar with, which is it's Bones, Tav, Joe, John or Crystal Scorpion whenever he pops in here, and Kyle, and maybe one or two other people who hop in around depending. And the funniest thing was, so they've been like IRL friends for a very long time. I met them, oh my god, it's been almost 10 years now, holy shit. And it's really funny because I've known them, I met them from us playing World of Warcraft together forever ago.
Yeah.
And from there, I want to say it was during the pandemic, they got me to sit down and play a tabletop game. They're like, hey, do you want to play a tabletop game with us? Because, like, at that point, I know Kyle, he was running like you know how like people would roleplay on MMOs and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Kyle used to run a bar, and I was the bartender and the what's it called, like the waiter who would also like get people to sit down at their tables or any of that stuff. And it was really funny because every time, like, I had like the number one rule: do not flirt with me. Please, I don't want that. Because I'm like, if you do that, I will kick you out of the bar. And it was really funny because there were so many people that would try, and every time I would be like, you didn't read the rules. Sorry, you're out. And they would just try to test my temper, and I'm like, no, no, no. Sorry, we're not playing that game tonight. So it was funny because after a while, the guys were like, hey, do you want to just play D&D with us or play a tabletop game with us? And I was like, sure, why not? I'll play a tabletop game. So I didn't actually play D&D first. You want to know what game these guys thought that they should? They were like, "Hey, you want to play a tabletop game?"
Oh,
with
let
us?
me
Yeah,
guess.
sure.
Let me guess. Let me guess. I don't know why. I don't think this is the answer, but I want to say Fate for some reason.
No, they had me play Warhammer 40K Dark Heresy as my first tabletop game. So I want you to know they slammed me with the fucking Dark Heresy rulebook, and I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" I immediately was like, "I don't understand anything," because I'm like, okay, I don't know Warhammer 40K.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of this, and they're like, "Do you want to do this?" I don't know why I fucking agreed, and I played it. I played it. I So for reference, it's like to give context on this. It's like, first off, it's like, well, okay, so you're not 40 years old. Are your friends 40 years old? No, incorrect. They're actually like what, a few years younger than me.
Sure.
So, they got me to play Dark Heresy first, and we played Dark Heresy, and I had no idea how to roleplay anything, so I was just Doom guy number 8. Okay,
Right.
all right, I didn't care. It was so bad. So I made my character. We had our 2 sessions. One session was just us going through warehouse, no problem. Second one was us going to continue our investigation as inquisitors to see what was going on with any heresy in a in like sort of like a slum. We went down and we were investigating and like trying to talk to people in an alleyway. Then a fight breaks out, and here's where everything goes to shit instantly. Because if you've ever played Dark Heresy or any of the Warhammer 40k or any of the Warhammer tabletop in general, you know how this goes. So what happened? Okay, fight starts breaking out. All right, I roll, confirm where I'm hitting. Cool. Fire my bolter. Bang, get a hit. Okay, that is a crit. Also roll an effect. What effect did you get on the table? All right. Are you ready for the Rube Goldberg machine to start? Okay. So, you blow this guy's arm off. He screams loud enough that it deafens and shocks everyone in the area. Also, his ammunition explodes. Huh? The ammunition explodes. Roll for damage. Oh, that's another effect. The other person screams loud enough that another thing explodes. And then another thing explodes. And then this guy just explodes into gore. That thing explodes. The whole street explodes. We're all on fire. I'm on the floor dying after one shot was fired in the whole alleyway. And half the people are dead and everyone's burning alive. And we're just dragging ourselves out of the alleyway going, this was the worst mistake of our lives. It's okay, because also my friend who was the DM of this session, for some reason thought it was a good idea to have 12 players!
Oh, no.
So, half of us were in my group where we exploded in an alleyway, and Bones and the guys died because they summoned a demon and it fucking killed everyone!
There's something to be said for like the absolute insanity of these crazy like RPGs that have all of the tables and the crit effects and everything like that. And like I'm telling you, where I'm at in my life now, I'm like, keep that far away from me. But hearing about it, absolutely transcendent.
It is insane. It is absolutely nuts. Because it's like, was it something I'll remember? I'm never gonna forget that. I'm never gonna forget it. Oh, and then the campaign ended after that because we were like, yeah, everyone's just dead. Yeah, fuck it. Never mind. It didn't happen.
So then you come over to
No more
3.5,
40K
presumably, right? Is that where you went over to 3.5?
No, so what happened immediately after that was Joe goes, hey, look, do you just want to play in my 3.5 campaign? Or in my D&D campaign? Because I think it'd be more like your style. He's like, it'd be a little bit more your style than 40K. He's like, it's more fantasy stuff because we usually like a lot of fantasy stuff. He's like, it would be better. And I'm like, sure, I've never played D&D before. I'm like, is it like that 5e thing that people talk about? No, we play 3.5.
Oh, they're that group.
He's like, is that okay? I go, I have no idea what that means. Sure.
Sign me up.
I was like, I don't know what that means. Just let's do it.
So yeah,
And
my first
then
games
they got me
were
to play.
I think my actual very first game was a D20 Modern, right? So like around year 2000-ish, Dungeons and Dragons 3.0 comes out. And then later on 3.5 is an updated rule set. But around that time, everybody was designing games that were centered around the D20. So the D20, 20-sided die, you roll it, you add a modifier, you go up against a check. And a lot of gaming tech in the early 2000s was that. So there was of course it was the theater kids.
That, actually.
Yeah, it was the theater kids really who finally talked me into joining their game. Because in senior year I joined one play. Senior year was a great year for me. I joined a play. I started and led an improv group. I started like doing the speeches of assemblies for school. It was cool. I did a
nice.
Speaking of this, we might touch on poetry. I did a poetry recitation contest and I went to state level for it, which that was wild. So that group was like, yeah, we're playing. It's D&D, but it's not D&D. They're like, it's D20 Modern. And so they had this campaign where it was a World War II campaign, and they had already done their first kind of arc, and so they were going back out. Come on, phone silence. They're going back out, and I guess it was a World War II, but it also had like Captain America and Wolverine were like actual characters in the game, like NPCs that they see from a distance on the battlefield. So
okay,
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, that is kind of cool. Where it's like you're the regular like people in the scenario, but you still see some superiors. Okay, that's him. Write that down.
So they were telling me the story about how the first like arc ended is how like they were on this battlefield, and then over in the distance they see a man and he's in like blue and he has a big white star on his chest and a shield, and he's smashing the top off of a tank, rips the top of the tank up, drops a grenade in, and like jumps off. And they just like they get that described to them, and they're like, "Oh, jeez, it's Captain America." So that was like the reveal to them at the end of the first arc. So I joined in. I think I played like 2 or 3 sessions of that. I was like, I don't know. I have this character. He's like a ghost hunter. I don't know. And then I think I played a session of 3.5, something like that. And then I was in the English program of my university, and I was looking for internships. And there was this neat little internship for a company called Paizo Publishing. And so I got to go be an intern at Paizo in the winter of 2009, which was the year, like they had just released the Pathfinder First Edition core rulebook. So I just missed it. I would have gotten a free copy if I had been the intern before. But so I was there while they were putting together the Game Mastery Guide, the Advanced Player's Guide, a number of other things like Kingmaker, which is like their big, well, you know Kingmaker, the game, the Owlcat game. I was there while they were writing Kingmaker. So it was super cool. And I was just in the editorial pit. You know, I was doing proof copy of like the low tier of society adventure stuff. But yeah, that's how I got my start.
That's awesome.
And like then I was
honestly, little bit jealous. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Like, at least in like a fly on the wall to just see like, how did you guys scratch this together?
It was my claim to fame for a while. It's still pretty cool, but now it's like I've interviewed Andrew Gillis, you know, my homie. So I'm just like, yeah, we're onward and upward. We're doing new cool things. We're pushing the envelope. Great. So yeah. So yeah.
Look, this was a long way from being that one guy who played like the retro Megaten games that like the people in the community would just like pop in just to see me and my friend just get battered by an old game that speaks Japanese to us.
So I wanted to pull out a question because I put a thread on your channel for them to put questions. I feel like this tickled my brain for something one of them wanted to know. Who was it at? Oh, it was Killer Flame. Okay, so Killer Flame, great guy. Wanted to know what video game would you like to see be made into a TTRPG, and what TTRPG would you like to see made into a video game? And then we'll talk about why. I'll see if I can come up with something too.
Okay, that is really tricky. That is very tricky because I know like there's a lot of like conversions for some of these like how do I say it? There are conversions for some video games to either be 5e material, 3.5 material, or other things like that. I know one thing game that I absolutely would love like a official tabletop for, because I know there's multiple fan systems right now, would be honestly any of the Project Moon games. Like I know me and my friends joke that we call what's it called? Triangle Agency is basically the Limbus Company TTRPG, but
sure.
I would prefer like Project Moon to put out an official TTRPG, and I do think that is something that they would be looking to do down the road once the setting is fully finished being written.
Or
because
you
it is a
know, like
setting
they
that
could
is so
just they could
fascinating.
kickstart it, and then they could just write the setting as they just wait for the
Look,
money to
I
run.
say that, but there are a couple of really good fans like systems that they've put together. My only problem with some of the fan systems are there's one that's more inspired by Library of Runa. That game is a card battling game. Um, it's funny because when you think about it, it works very much like Rift Breakers, except here's the problem with it. It's too complicated
Ah,
in the sense of like Rift Breakers, you have your cards predetermined based on whatever heart that you have. The problem that they want you to do in that system, which is Stars of the City, which is still really good, and the creator, which whose name is escaping me right now, but they're very cool. They're actually super cool. They stream them making the system and working on it. My only complaint is I may be the type of person that would enjoy this game. I don't think a lot of people would because you have to make your own cards every time.
oh.
That's the problem. So you need to make your own cards. You need to do the math to determine how much mana or light it'll cost per round to use. It again, because this is a Project Boom game, we have sanity as a mechanic. What are the ups and downs of using sanity as a resource,
Mm-hmm.
plus your health, plus your stagger? And I'm like, you see what I mean? We're starting to add way too many cooks in the kitchen for mechanics. Where I'm
Yeah.
like, as cool as it is, I think we need a unified what's okay, what's not okay. And I think like look at Limbus Company, they simple things down, and I jokingly say that because I know Oso, if he's still around, I know Oso cracks up because me and him laugh at how like in Limbus Company, it's still technically a card battler despite it being a gotcha or like a weird thing like that, where
Mm-hmm.
decks are basically four cards. But I have to laugh because those card texts went from being one line to being bloated into multiple paragraphs like a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Yeah.
Um,
You
and
unfold the
that's why
card at
I'm
the table.
like, yeah, and that's why I'm like, I would love to see, if not a full blown TTRPG, I would love a very very well thought out and fleshed out written setting book because I think the modern dystopian setting that
Mm.
it is written in is fascinating because unlike a
Yeah.
cyberpunk where there's a lot of the repercussions of technology, it is a future where specifically AI is banned and that if any
Interesting.
creature or robot that is built that has a sense of sentient AI, it must be destroyed.
You know what's funny?
And
I feel like
it leads to a bunch of resources.
the narratives around AI have shifted naturally, of course, because
Yeah,
now it's interfacing with our lives. And yeah, I know AI,
yeah,
LLMs, whatever you want to call them. We all know what we're talking
yeah.
about. Don't be pedantic, people.
Hmm.
But like older
Hmm.
sci-fi, like the sci-fi of like the 60s, 70s, whatever, like
Hmm.
Isaac Asimov, Arthur C. Clarke, like sci-fi stories, they used
Hmm.
AI,
Yes.
even Star Trek, they used AI as a way to like in the same way that X-Men comics were about bigotry and like
Hmm. Yeah.
prejudice and persecution, and they used mutant
Hmm.
kind as like something that you can't control. It's who you are, and people are persecuted for it. They use that as an analog. In the same way, they used to do that with AI, and it's funny now to see like now maybe AI is like the villain or the enemy or like the thing that gets eliminated from the
Yeah.
setting. You know?
It's very interesting because like the crux of like their second game is about a character who the main character, she herself, was an AI robot and she yearns to be human. And
Mm-hmm.
that was like the whole crux of her character development in the second game, where ultimately she gives up her chance at being human so she doesn't harm other people in the process. And I
Mm.
think that's like like the most human answer that she could have given. And I think that's like the point of the story. And it's very interesting seeing that because yeah, you're right. I think the writing around like those types of characters has changed dramatically along with like our views on it where it's like yes, you could say, yeah, they could be viewed as companions at some points, but they could also be viewed as like an antagonist or some sort of, classical case of the HAL 9000. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Right.
that's fine.
Yeah.
It just depends on like what type of story you want and what point do you want to make. Because it's like when it comes to like writing a character that is a robot, or at least how AI is seen written in a very interesting way. Like I think a good example would be like you have your two ends of it, and I would say like Cyberpunk actually is a good interesting thing. I actually ended up doing a read through of the retro Cyberpunk book,
Hmm. Oh, I
as
remember. Yeah, when you were
I
streaming that.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and me and Hero were talking about it because Hero's only experience with Cyberpunk was Cyberpunk 2077, the video game,
Mm-hmm.
and I know Cyberpunk Red is based off of that game, and I know they recently released, like, I think Cyberpunk 60 or 2060 something, which is supposed to bridge that gap between the two eras.
Okay.
Because I'll be honest, like, one of the common things that I've heard is just use the 2020 setting, but use the rules from Red. Because if you try to use the rules from 2020, after reading through all that, I'm like, dude, you wrote two different games and put them in the same book. And I go, there's no way people are going to play it. I know they do, but I'm like, there's no fucking way anyone's going to sit down and do this willingly. You're going to have
Right.
to hold people at gunpoint to play this game.
Cyberpunk is such a weird genre for me. It's just like I never had a ton of experience with it. So like I approach it with interest, but I'm always just kind of like, I feel like I have a lot to learn about the genre to even appreciate the genre itself. And the one thing that I think would really be helpful is if I sat down and read Otherscape, which is by Son of Oak. They're the ones who are behind Legend in the Mist, which went crazy. I mean, I think their final numbers after backing and pre-orders and everything like that, I think they closed at 1.9.5 million, something like that. So they did a really, really good job. It's the same base mechanic system, but they just put so much writing into everything, and it's a unique spin on Cyberpunk because it has this like mythic component to it, where it's like the dead old gods are reviving because the barrier between tech and mythos and noise is like eroding, and so like myths are coming back to life. It's crazy. I'd really love to get into that someday. And I think actually Thaddeus here in my chat, he's you did your session 0, I think you can answer in chat. But he's in a game, and I'm like, oh, tell me all about it when you hear about the game. Video games to TTRPGs I think is an easier way to go than TTRPGs into video games. I think if I were
I'm sorry,
I think if I were to take it in, like, and probably just because I've been playing it recently, but Golden Sun, which I know like they've already done, like, they've done so much of this. They've said, well, we've taken these games as inspirations and made, like, Fabula Ultima is often credited. And then I was just thinking Skies of Arcadia, but then I was like, no, there was a Kickstarter for a game that was very much like, this is Skies of Arcadia, the TTRPG in all but name. So there's just been so much, people are just scraping for like everything out there that hasn't been done to put it out there. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. And it's like, even in that same vein, it's like a game that I was shocked ended up having a lot more like Japanese only tabletop content was Shin Megami Tensei. Like, the first tabletop book I ever read on stream was actually the Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne book, which, get prepared for the longest name in the universe. The book title is it is Shin Megami Tensei, the tabletop role-playing RPG, Tokyo Conception. That is the name of the book.
It's not bad. That's not bad.
Now, TLDR, it's the Nocturne tabletop game.
Yeah.
And it's based on the third major game of the franchise. And in my opinion, just reading through it for like the flavor of it is fascinating, actually. It's very interesting to me because they add a little bit of detail to the world that, you didn't think about, or there wasn't a clear answer. And I think that's fun. I like how they very much adapted the game's systems as a paper playtest, and I have to laugh because now, like, I took, it's funny because I ended up taking like an elective class about game design, and I'm not a game designer, and paper playtesting was a part of the process.
Oh.
And it's funny because how that game's combat is extremely a paper playtest, because it's like, it's typical, it's D100 checks. So you D100 roll, kind of like how when we're playing Rift Breakers to see, do you hit the creature? How much damage do you deal? But what was really interesting was the chain of dialogue for negotiating is actually almost one-to-one to the game, but it's very interesting because the point in which you start the dialogue tree depends on what you are. So you could either be a human, which is funny because in Nocturne you can only be a fiend, but in this case you could play as a human, a demon, or a fiend. And depending on what you are and then what your alignment is where you start on the graph. And then depending on the personality of the demon you talk to will determine, you do your check for negotiation.
Yeah.
You give one of your responses, and then you roll your check. And then if you pass or fail, you move to another point on like the 9 grid for this discussion. And ultimately you get whatever solution that happens.
Interesting.
And it's funny because I thought about it and I'm like, no, this is exactly one-to-one how this actually plays out in a lot of these games. it worked perfectly. And I was like, I understand this because I've played the game and I'm like, wow, this is actually correct.
That's very cool.
So it's the little details like that can always catch you off guard.
I want to grab some more because there are a couple more
Mm-hmm.
TTRPG questions in this thread, and then we'll just keep riffing
Actually,
from there. Go ahead.
before I forget, let me answer the other half of your question. As for
I had
tabletop
halves for my
games that I
questions.
want, oh yeah, don't worry. As for the other half of that question, which tabletop system I would like to see get a game.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm cheating. I'm saying two of them. I want Triangle Agency because the concept and setting of it is so fun. You can do some awesome stuff with it, and you can even do it like, unironically, do it like even like a horror RPG, like a horror RPG, a la something like a Look Outside, or I know like Backworlds just came out, and that's like another horror themed RPG. I think that could be something awesome. Also, thank you again, Atomic. I appreciate that. 9 months.
Ooh,
Let's
nice.
go. And another game, and I'm gonna say this, and you're gonna be like, really? Okay. Stupid take.
I'm ready.
Swinging out of left field.
Okay.
I know Owlcat's taking a break from Paizo with doing like their Warhammer contracts and a couple other tabletop games. You want to know what I want? Swinging out of left field. Come back, make a 3-5 like tabletop game.
Oh my
like
gosh.
3-5 adventure game. I want like a CRPG that's done in 3-5 because there's no good CRPGs done in 3-5 that are from the current modern era.
Fair.
They're all like, if you think about it, like I will say, I think DTO is technically, but it's like not real 3-5 because it's an MMO. I think, what is it, Baldur's Gate 2? But that's not a CRPG in the sense of like a turn-based thing. I want a classical turn-based one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm very specific with it because it's like, do it something like how the Pathfinder games did it. Because I think how Owlcat ended up converting Pathfinder 1E adventures was such a good thing because I'm not gonna lie, those were what got me to play the Pathfinder games and got me to run my own Pathfinder games because I like the system. I was already familiar with it because it reminded me of 3-5. And lo and behold, that makes sense because then I did my homework and it's literally the same guys, same people.
Well,
and
I remember
that makes sense.
I remember we were in some stream chat somewhere, and I was telling you guys, I was like, "Oh yeah, Paizo made Dungeon and Dragon magazine for Wizards of the Coast. Like they spun. That's where they started."
Yeah, they made Dragon magazine,
Yeah.
and it's funny because whenever me, Bones, and like, okay, you want to know the tech? All right, here's the tech when you're playing 3-5 with the boys. It's like you want to bust out some shit no one's ever gonna see. Also, oh my god, thank you for the raid.
See you, Thaddeus.
Thank you,
Take
thank
care.
you. Appreciate it. Yo, shout out Nick. What's up? How you
There he
doing?
is.
Thank you.
I dropped
Appreciate
in.
it.
I dropped in between our setup, and he was like, I hope your interrogation goes long enough for me to raid in." I was like, "I'm sure it will."
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. No, but like, yeah, like I was jokingly saying before, look, you want to know what the tech is? The tech is always pull some obscure shit from Dragon Magazine and then see how fast your GM has to ban it. Because Dragon Magazine's content is 9 times out of 10 better than base game because, all right, can we talk? All right, you know what? Hold on. Tangent. We're going to talk about this. Can we talk about how badly written 3-5 is?
I mean, the funny thing is I actually played 3-5 for all of like one session, and then I interned at Paizo, so I'm like, well, I'm never going to play 3-5 again because I literally interned here. Like, these guys have my loyalty. So, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, we're talking Dragon Magazine. No, and like, I will tell you the funniest thing is like, you want to talk about how badly written 3-5 is? And it's like, I say this lovingly because 3-5 is written bad enough that it's just ambiguous enough that you can argue it like a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Oh god,
and I mean that in the most loving way possible because
Yeah.
I have sat through the most bullshit arguments with my friends over the nuance and finite details of some of the stupidest conversations of like, well, why would that spell work? I don't know. Do wizards always smell because they carry packs of Backwana with them to cast Fireball? Do you care? No. You know what I mean?
will say,
like,
so that element of 3-5 where it's
See what
like
I mean.
so janky and like there's so much to discuss. So Pathfinder 2, they like really tightened down and they like have an explanation for everything. They're like, it does not work in this way. You cannot cheese it in this way. You do not be a weasel. And I think the community at large, fans of Pathfinder 1, fans of Pathfinder 2, I think we're all just kind of like somewhere in the middle there is a Pathfinder 3 that would be absolutely delicious. But yeah.
Yeah, because I'm like, I will say, at least in my opinion, you can fight me on this. I do think Pathfinder 2. Okay, when I look at like comparing 5e and Pathfinder 2e,
Yeah.
I think 2e still gets the memo. Where to me, I can play 2e and look at it and go, this still reminds me of Pathfinder 1e because there's still relics that are there and they work as the way I think they should. 5e changes a lot of the rules, and I understand why they changed it.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, we know. Ain't nobody want to sit there, let your wizard cast 5 different buffs or more, and then we stack every single buff in the universe, non-type stacking, of course, and then we just, all right, guys, it's time to roll in. Okay, save or die.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, and it's interesting
and it's like,
too because
look, I get it. I understand. But at the same time, that's half the fun. Because if you're building your character to work around a lot of tough mechanics, like, look, wizards are the glass cannon, and of course, early game, they're good, but they're not that good. Because guess what? A wizard's got what? 5 AC? Bro, this dude's gonna explode. Okay, he's a piece of glass. It's like, one of the running jokes during my first campaign was, I get hit, I guess I'm dead.
yeah, yeah.
Because it's like, you have, what, less than 10 HP? Barely? And a bunch of other stuff like that? So it's like,
Well, it's really cool, and
really?
this is why I appreciate like the dynamic between WotC and Paizo, aside from the evil stuff that WotC and Hasbro do because they have shareholders now. But this element of like you had 3.5 and then Pathfinder 1, and then D&D went to 4e, and they went to this really tactical, very like strict, things work this way. They kind of work similarly for every class, but it's very tactical and like it's all about like what decisions you make and the builds you make. And then there was some backlash to that. So they went to 5e, and 5e, from what I've heard from people smarter than me who know this stuff and care about it, I haven't touched the 5e thing. I have the 5e starter box over here because it like wound up on my porch one day, kind of a thing. Is that 5e is kind of like, in a lot of ways, is kind of like a modern, cleaned up, original BX, whatever that stands for. I just know the terms. BX D&D is like an homage back to that with a big thing. And then meanwhile, Pathfinder 2 took a lot of the designers from Dungeons and Dragons 4th edition that came over. Along with the people that made Unchained, which was an awesome book from first edition, and they basically married those two together, and you got 2e, and it's like, so they kind of like do this like dance where they shift back and forth, and then you explore the space.
Yeah. And it's funny because like I'm thinking about it too, and it's like, for me, my first time playing 2e for Pathfinder was really just our stream campaign where Say's been the DM. Again, I still feel like, to me, this still feels like Pathfinder. Where I play 5e, it's a completely different fucking game.
I remember,
you know what I mean? 5e, like I will tell you the biggest complaint, and this is from playing with like Joe and Bones, and the biggest complaint that we kind of have when it comes to 5e, and it's okay. Look, I know a certain person, if they're listening, is going to get very angry at me saying this.
I know who you're talking about.
They're going to get very angry at me for saying this. I go, I don't like 5e because half the time when I'm playing a character, I feel like I'm playing a template character because you can't... Like, 5e is a game that's designed around multi-classing, which is good, because unironically 3.5 is a game that encourages multi-classing, but the problem is when you're playing the first time, you would never understand how to do that.
Right.
But it's a game that encourages multi-classing versus Pathfinder, where I think, honestly, if you just wanted to go straight to 20 on a single class, it's written good enough that you can.
Pathfinder 1,
you mean? The good enough part is, Pathfinder 1, because that's the problem. The written good enough part is not the good thing in 3.5. A lot of the classes in 3.5 suck because they're badly written, or they have no good things. Like, okay. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm going to be bouncing around on this topic, because this is difficult to explain, and it's a very specific issue that I have. Because, okay, Paladin in 5e got the glow up. I will say, what does 5e do well that I like? Paladin is playable and it's OP. Cleric got nerfed. Druid also got nerfed. Warlock is a real class now. Because Warlock fucking sucked in 3.5. What was it? It was Clawlock. Oh, you think you're casting spells? No, you're grappling. That's what you do as a Warlock, and it's horrible. It's like, there's one person I know who played it. It's Bones.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's like, I want to play a Warlock. Unfortunately, you have to be a grappler. I don't think anyone wants to be a grappler. Unless you're Tav, who loves to play grappling martial arts builds, because he likes martial arts.
Yeah. Get your flowcharts out.
But, you see, the flowchart. We're not going to talk about the flowchart. But you see what I mean? It's like, there are specific mechanics, specific ways to go about these things, and it's like that's why I like 3.5 and Pathfinder 1E because there's a build for everyone. There's something you want to do something crazy, absolutely can,
Hmm.
and you can do it in the most outrageous way possible. You want to play a samurai, even though samurai is a bad class, you can do it in a fun way. You want to
Hmm.
play bro, you can even play True Neighbor, and that class is barely a class because it's not written well at all. Like because half the stuff in for True Neighbor actually just doesn't make sense when you read it because it's
Sure.
not written well. They didn't even understand how to fucking write the class. And half of your mechanics rely on a magic item necklace that you have to beg your DM for at the start of the
Oh,
game,
lovely.
or else you literally can't play your class. It's
Mm.
bad. You see the problem with like some of these older things. They're just either written to be solving a problem that they made themselves,
Hmm.
or someone came down the road later and wrote a new version of the same class to fix the problem. Because
Yeah.
I'm gonna just tell you the truth. Knight and samurai are the same class, just with different flavor. They just literally intimidate and challenge to duel. It's the same thing, just different words.
Right, right. Well, it's like this
And then
evolution of gaming
5e,
is like,
everyone's the same.
yeah, this evolution of gaming between, and it's like people, different people want different things, but they don't realize they're creating in the same space. I don't know. Well, I'm sure they realize it, but
Yeah,
like, you know, it's like,
yeah, yeah.
do you make a really roughly written thing because everybody's on the same page that you're going to sort it out in the moment at the
Yeah.
table and like let's not obsess over it, or do you make Pathfinder 2, which Pathfinder 2's claim to fame and why I will shout its praises to the heavens, personally, is a good fit for me, is
Yeah.
because it's really tightly designed. It's really hard to go wrong. Your decisions that you make in the encounter generally tend to matter more than the decisions you make when you make your build. And I don't really like doing builds. I'd rather just be in the thing. Um, and so for
Yeah.
that, for me, the thing I always say about Pathfinder 2 is because the math just works, the encounter creation and everything like is gonna deliver the experience that it says it is on the tin. You basically get
Mhm.
to use all of the little building blocks just like you're just playing. You're just playing with Legos and you're using that as a tool of self-expression. And my favorite thing I
Yeah.
ever heard about this was a long while ago. Another streamer was talking about how Magic the Gathering, the Commander format,
Mhm.
which I know you were more Yu-Gi-Oh, right, and Pokemon and
Yeah.
stuff, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Magic the Gathering, the Commander form was actually not a published format. It was like fan created, and they were like, take one legendary
Mhm.
creature. In fact, it was even older than that. It
Mhm.
was specific legendary creatures, and every card has to match the color symbols in that creature. You can't have a red spell if your leader isn't also red, and you can
Yeah.
only have one
Yeah.
of each card. So is this whole like tool for like self-expression, because yeah, you can make a really good deck, but also there's so much randomness to like, are you going to draw that 1 out of 100 card you need, assuming you don't put a
Yeah.
bunch of
Yeah.
tutors in. So I've
Mhm.
always like, yeah, that's what I like about the balance of games. But then at the same time, I'm like, look, if you're going to sell me a game where you're like, it's going to be wacky and crazy and we're going to be doing all sorts of crazy stuff, I'm like, fine. As long as I know what I'm getting
Yeah.
into and I can match my expectations to it, I'm going to be happy, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I guess like even man, okay. I guess to touch back upon like the contradictory thing that I mentioned, it's like, okay, that old game's designed for multi-class. But Vice, aren't you supposed to multi-class in 5e? Okay, let's be upfront. I'm gonna address the elephant in the room. How sweaty of a gamer are you? I'm just gonna tell you up front. Yeah, you right, you. I'm looking you in the eyes, okay? Because you know what you're doing. You're dipping 2 levels in a fighter, and I know why you're doing it. I'm not gonna talk about why, but you know why. But
Mm-hmm.
you see the problem, right? Where it's like my problem is, and I guess this is something that we can kind of talk about as well. It's like when it comes to like level of min maxing versus like efficiency for fun.
Yeah.
Um, because like, look, uh, one of the common things that I've seen with like people that it's funny because it's like I have my personal D&D group that I've played with, and then groups that I've played with on stream or other people, and it's very interesting seeing how different people like play tabletop. Um, this is going to sound very funny when I say this because
Mm-hmm.
it's like for how I play tabletop with my group is very different than how like other people do because it's like me and my friends we just do all of our role playing through text chat and it helps because it ends up being a long log of what happened and we can read back in it
Yeah.
and ultimately it ends up being a fun read especially like we look back at our older campaigns and you can just read through everything literally and then see the fights as it goes out and we just look through all of that and our voice chat is just us meta over the table talking of like what happened, laughing at something, talking about how we would do a fight. And
that's so funny.
Especially like that's one thing that's very different from like how I do things compared to like other people playing tabletop normally, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
The other thing is combat. Now, combat's always a very difficult thing to talk about because some people love it, some people hate it. Me and my friends, we enjoy a good combat encounter, but I'm not gonna like break your back over the combat on this because it's like at the end of the day, I don't want you to have to use meta builds. That's not the fun part. The fun part for me is you can pick whatever you want, and even if it's a bad class, I'll fix it. We'll make it better. I think one of my favorite things that I've done is in my Pathfinder 1E campaigns, I purposely went through and I just was like, I'm just gonna give you mythic feats baked in for some of these bad classes. Like, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. Paladin is better in Pathfinder 1E than it is in 3.5, but you're still limited to one smite a day, and it has to be evil only, or like any of these very crippling,
niche things,
specific niches. And I'm like, that's not fun. So you got multiple smites per encounter, and same thing with judgments, because again, I think Inquisitor can be a cool class, but it suffers a lot of the same problems. Judgments are kind of weak early, and like, you know, I'm like, let's just speed it up a little bit so you're on par with everyone else.
I remember putting Jaethal together in Kingmaker, you know, the CRPG,
dude,
and I'm like, there's too many. I'm like, there's like 20 options to click. I'm like, I can't do this. I don't want to.
That's the funniest thing. No, and that's the funniest thing, because now it's like, I understand, because I've done my homework. I read up on how this class works, because for me, unironically, what I ended up enjoying about like those, the Kingmaker, and especially in Wrath of the Righteous, was the dungeon mode, because you can just make whatever party of people you want, and then for me it was like I get to play test a bunch of like scuffed builds for fun, and I would use that as like
I never picked up Wrath,
so I would use it as like a little play test to try out classes that I normally wouldn't get the chance to try.
That's fun.
And that's what ended up leading me to try to dig into how do I make these bad classes work. And the funniest thing is, it's like, okay, you want to make a Templar or like an Inquisitor that kicks ass, bro, beg your DM to let you get a travel domain, because then you get your move action is Dimension Door.
Oh my God.
Move action Dimension Door, teleports behind you, stabs you to death. And it's like, the funniest thing about like what you said, oh, there's so many judgments. You want to know the black pill answer on that is there's only 2 that are good. All of them are bad.
Okay.
One that increases your to hit bonus, and the other one that makes it so you have swift healing per round. Those are the only 2 that are good.
Sure. Yeah, I bet.
Tragic.
You know, fun thing about Wrath of the Righteous is, you know, I'm always talking about my play-by-post campaign that a lot of my friends are in, a lot of people in this channel, and it is set in Mendev after the events of Wrath of the Righteous. So
that must be fun.
It's a rebuilding campaign. That's the initiative story was like the Mendevian delegation. Hey, characters, you're going to go to this small little outpost and you're going to rebuild it from scratch. There's 200 people there. And we've played this thing for now almost 4 years now. It's just been great.
That's awesome.
And we do one-to-one time. Fun. So it's like there's a year in game time is a year in real life. And it's been really fun. So
honestly, that is something that I think I do want to try to do at some point. I've been sort of workshopping the idea with like Bones and Joan, a couple of people in our D&D group, where I do want to try to run an epic level campaign, because I've never tried to run a higher level campaign. Like, I guess this is the other thing, or common complaint, I guess you could say, in a lot of our tabletop campaigns, or especially like with people that I've spoken to, like, oh, average level we only get to like maybe level 8, maybe level 10. The highest level that I think we've gotten in one of our campaigns was level 14, and that was in the campaign that I started everyone at level 10.
Okay.
And I got them to 14 by the end of this short mini campaign, because I wanted everyone to feel like they're powerful for the situation that they're in, considering this is a push forward from when these characters were originally introduced. So I think that was a good idea. And it's funny because I have been thinking about, like, because I know me and my friends typically don't like to run modules, more the fact of they don't want to run something that's pre-written. They would rather run something original.
Yeah.
But even we talked about it, I'm like, would you guys be down if I actually tried to run the Wrath of the Righteous campaign and we do it our own way like that? And they were like, you know what? I'd be down to give it a shot, because I want like a fun epic level campaign that has like a lot of room, because the way like the books are written, there's tons of open gaps for you to do whatever you want. And I think that's a great way to like give me a little bit of ground to like understand, because it's like, I don't know if I wanted to exactly just do like what Temple of Elemental Evil or what's one of the other older ones? I know like you could always just make Curse of Strahd scaled up, but it's Curse of Strahd, all right? Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. The only knowledge I have of Curse of Strahd is I've read the book. People got angry at me for reading the book, believe it or not.
Okay.
One of the stupidest things that happened was it was in my learning to play 5e series because I learned how to play 5e on stream by me reading all the books. Then I wrote a campaign. Then I made some maps. I never ran the campaign, but I have a 5e campaign we built on stream together.
That's cool.
And for me, one of the things when I was learning about how to be a DM for 5e was I read the DM book, I read a bunch of other stuff, and then I was like, you know what, I want to read one of the modules. Let's read Curse of Strahd. And they're like, a lot of people popped in and were like, you're stupid. Why would you read Curse of Strahd to learn how to DM? I'm like, because I've DM'd for other fucking games. And I'm looking at how would you run this adventure?
Yeah.
Now, I will say, one of the funniest things that's written in all of these modules that makes me laugh in particular is there's always the but if. And the but if is always, the players killed the NPC, what do I do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, come on, dude. I get why it's written, but like, come on, dude. Every single NPC that has a name literally has, my players killed them, what do I do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay then. I see where the problem is here. All right, I see who this book is for now. And I'm like, I understand why I guess people were getting mad at me, because I'm like, okay, Curse of Strahd, not too bad. Pretty cool. Here's the thing, though, okay? They've been reprinting Castle Ravenloft for, like, what, since 2nd edition? Or something like that?
Are they
because
doing
I
anything
went
now?
back
They
and I'm
just
like,
kickstarted
wait,
it
don't I
again or
have a
something?
copy? I'm like, I have a copy of what was it? Return to Castle Ravenloft from 3.5. And it's a second rendition of, what is it? Just the Ravenloft book or something like a Gray something from 2E.
Gray.
It's crazy.
Gray something. Yeah.
Or Greyhawk, yeah, or something
that
like that.
it?
And I'm
Oh.
just cracking up because I'm like, it just feels weird because I'm like, wow, you know, they really got away with printing the same book for like a decade plus, and I'm like, damn,
I mean,
good
they're
going.
still doing it, so yeah.
I know it's frustrating. Like, okay, that's my other main complaint that I have with 5e is now again heresy. I can't believe you would say this. I hate 5e because there's only 3 books. Fight me, because it's like, why do I say there's only 3 books? I'll be honest with you. Well, thank you again for the raid. Appreciate it. I hope you guys are doing good. Hi, if you don't know who I am, what's up? I'm Vice Captain. You just stream RPGs, TTRPGs, and I'm having a conversation with my friend here.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
I'm London. Thanks for rating advice.
Yeah,
We're talking about
thanks so
everything.
much.
Everything.
Yeah, we're talking about a bunch of stuff. We're talking about tabletop RPGs and everything. But I hope you guys are doing good. And if you got a raid and run, no problem. Thank you. But yeah, I guess that's my other like issue that I have when it comes to regarding 5e is I feel like a lot of the official content. I know there's people gonna get mad at me. It's mostly because of how like our D&D group works is where we try to not involve too much homebrew. We try to use mostly source books first, then we'll look into homebrew. But we try to like keep it mostly like within the means or construction of like what is the content made by the creator first, then we'll look to other solutions. And my problem is there's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books for like things like 3.5 and Pathfinder. And I like that. I think that's great. But my problem is there's just not enough content for 5e, at least officially.
Yeah.
And I say that because a lot of the third-party books that do exist, that are from Kickstarter things or other things like that, are great. And it's like, my problem is, bro, Watsy, you're sitting on a pile of gold. Just fucking pay these guys their money and be like, just make the book for us. You guys
you
did
see
it
the
in
problem there,
35.
right? You said the problem
Yeah.
was you advocated for paying them, so that's the problem.
I know, and like, but you see, sort of my issue where I'm like, why do I think 3.5 was such an interesting thing? Is because there's so many books that if you ever wanted to like try to find something, or maybe like I can give you an example. I was talking with Unleashed. Unleashed was in a section of his campaign where they're going through the desert. I gave him my copy of Sandstorm. Or if you wanted to do a sailing campaign, I gave my copy of Stormwrack to say.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like there is books for everything you can imagine and everything that you would like.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Unleashed? Perfect timing.
Oh.
But you see what I mean? You know what I mean? There's a lot of like things that if you ever wanted to see something specific, there's a book there for you.
Yeah.
And the thing is, that exists in 5e, unofficially, and that's the problem. Because I'm like, that's why I get so frustrated when people get mad at me. Or it's like, oh wow, you just hate that there's not official content for 5e. I go, oh,
So,
so you agree then? Because I'm like, that's where I'm like, that's the stupid part. Because it's like all these books are official for 3.5. So then why isn't there just a 5e rendition? You know what I mean? Because I'm like,
couldn't tell you. I have no
a
idea.
lot of the books, yeah, and it's like that's my problem. A lot of the books for 5e are mostly reprints of older content
True.
or just older modules repackaged again. So I'm like, why not just like a lot of people are making good supplementary content for your game. Why don't you even reach out to them? And it's like it's to me that's the part that I get frustrated by
Yeah.
where I'm like, you guys are squandering one of the best possibilities you had because guess what? You want to know what really made like marshals good in 3.5? Tome of Battle. Tome of Battle doesn't fucking exist in 5e.
Mm-hmm.
And guess who took Tome of Battle with them? It was Paizo. They went and made better martial classes.
I got a couple people
It's
in my
like,
chat
wow, I can't
answering.
believe martial classes are so good in Pathfinder 1e. I wonder who did that.
So Thaddeus over on my side was saying a couple names of adventures that maybe we were looking for: Keep on the Borderlands, Red Hand of Doom, something about Ravenloft, and then I got Simon here says, and this is a fair point. I think having too many source books puts off newcomers. That's a fair point. And then
It
Dicey here
does.
says, Modern WotC wants D&D to be a digital platform so they can just skim money off other people's work. So that's even better, is let them make it for you and then just take a percentage and then don't actually pay them. Just let them sell their own stuff
It's
and take a
frustrating.
percentage. And you can charge
Yeah.
monthly for a
No, and
digital
you're right.
platform. Yeah, that's the way of things. But you know what?
Yeah.
I'm encouraged, though, and maybe we'll pivot to talk about, like, because you've been
Yeah.
looking at Triangle Agency and you looked at Cyberpunk, and you know there's so much out there that's even
There's
outside of
that
just the
was the other
fantasy
thing I
realm.
will say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
no,
guess like,
and that's the other good thing where for me what I think what was really like the start of learning about these other types of tabletop games
mhm,
was unironically when Hime explained to me about solo TTRPGs
right,
because then from there I really got to learn there's way more than just Pathfinder and D&D.
yeah,
And I didn't really know because I was someone that literally was dragged in by a friend after a failed Warhammer
yeah,
campaign.
yeah. You knew
And
about
then they were like,
Warhammer,
fuck it, let's
D and
play.
D, and Pathfinder.
That was literally all I knew because I didn't really understand this stuff at most. And it's like, and just to touch upon like what one of your chatters said, it's like too many source books is off-putting. I want you to know my first campaign I played was a Wizard Academy, and I was a wizard and I had to make a custom spell. You are absolutely right. Because I'm like, I don't know what is a good spell. How would
Yeah.
I know?
Oh,
You don't know.
this is my rant
And
now about inventory and equipment. I'm so over it. I'm so over all
yeah,
equipment in books because this is a thing I'll knock Pathfinder 2 for. Most of the equipment is trash and not worth looking at. And then you
no, it
have
is. It's bad.
thankfully I have people in my community who love looking through the equipment, and there's a particular friend of mine who's like, I will just make spreadsheets of only the good stuff, and I'm like, thank you, you're doing
Yeah,
God's work, because I do
yeah,
not care
honestly.
about the caltrops that are useful for one level and one level only. And you know, I've seen players who like start out low level Pathfinder and they're like, I pull out a flask of oil and light it on fire because it'll do 1d4 fire damage, and I'm like, what? I look up this item and I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that's a thing. But why would you ever? What? Like, there's too
Yeah, it's
much.
like there's a lot of like okay, like that's my thing. It's like I like situational items like that, and I think they can be fun, but it does lead to a lot of bloat, and that is like a big issue.
I tell
And
you what, I would
like
love.
it's
Give me a game that
sort
doesn't
of like
even really do classes, doesn't really do levels, and make items really good and really useful. And then I realize I'm just describing like OSR and like BXD&D and stuff
yeah,
like that. I get
yeah,
that.
pretty much.
But that's in a rulings over rules kind of setting, and like, I don't
Mhm.
know, it's wild. It's wild. But
Yeah,
is
yeah.
there anything coming up or coming out that you're like looking forward to, or I don't know if you're much of a backer of stuff. If you got anything coming down the pipe that you're excited for, that's maybe outside of like the
Um,
D&D space or like the trad fantasy.
okay, this is gonna sound fun. Uh, recently I know the zine for Triangle Agency came out that had additional fan made content, and it's fun because it actually has a couple of additional stuff
Nice.
written from other TTRPG authors, other fans in the community, and something else that I'm actually looking forward to. I hope they do another Vault book because the Vault book was actually really fun because it had entire multiple page long missions written by other TTRPG authors. I
Oh,
would love
cool.
to see a second rendition. I would love to see more.
That's very cool.
And the reason why I think the zines were great was it implemented new powers. It implements new ideas that you can use for a campaign. And I think what I really enjoy about the system, and I say that as someone that like I've been working in the background to get the campaign ready to do on stream with all of my friends and stuff on this, and I think it's really interesting because it's so oddly freeform that I'm like not like I was like so confused how to do it because even in the book it's like, yeah, there's combat, but they're like, they go, if we had to be like, the book is very roundabout with how it wants to do combat, where it goes, okay, let's just, if like brass tacks at the end of like a long explanation, it goes, okay, we need to actually assign numbers to things, right? Okay, players have 3 HP, uh regular people have 1, and monsters start at 4 or 5 HP and go up depending on how severe a threat. And there you go.
Yikes.
Every attack will deal 1 damage unless you do additional things, then it'll deal more damage.
Oh my. Yeah.
So it's like depending on how dramatic it is, you know what I mean? Because it's like at the end of the day, you're someone with superpowers. You're like, look, let's just make it so unless you take a dire hit, you take 2 damage or something.
Right,
like that.
right.
Or depending on like how you roll, maybe you up ramp the damage because it can ramp up and you can deal more than 1 damage, or same vice versa for the enemies. So it's stuff like that where I'm like, that is cool. You don't really see a lot of that type of gameplay in a traditional
Yeah.
3-5 or stuff like that because
Right.
we get more X factor, and I think that's the fun part. You know what I mean? Who doesn't love a little bit of chaos, right?
Yeah, yeah. If again, like I always say, I'm like, as long as I know what I'm signing up for, I will enjoy pretty much even anything, even dungeons, which I'm not a dungeon person, but if I know I'm going to do a dungeon thing and I can prepare myself to do a dungeon thing, I'll have a fun time in a dungeon, you know. But it's just an expectation thing. I wrote some notes here as we were talking way at the beginning of the stream. We were talking about the concept of being content creators. And then you used the word influencer, and Zach had said in chat, they were like, you know, you guys influence me to buy RPGs, and I was like, yeah, technically we do, don't we? We actually are influencers.
Yeah.
Like, oh man.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's like, in hindsight, like I personally, coming from like my work background and everything and stuff like that, it's funny because like I've typically worked with people who would be influencers or done something like that before, so it was really kind of funny for me to, in hindsight, go, oh wait, I mean, I guess technically I am an influencer.
Mm-hmm.
I fall under the technicalities of that, where it's like you're someone who streams, you make content online regarding a specific topic, you post about things and do stuff like that. And it's kind of silly because you wouldn't think about it, but
yeah, well, and then I'm over here and I'm like, here's a quick start for a brand new Kickstarter, and I'm like featuring it for 2 to 3 hours, and I'm like, yeah, what else would I call myself? It's like, but I'm not doing it to influence, like, right? Like, we're not here
yeah,
to,
no,
like,
you're just showing it off because you're interested.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the funny thing about it too, you know what I mean? Because it's those little moments like that that are really like what can sort of catch you on that, where it's like, I didn't realize it until I literally sat there and me and Hime are looking at the brand new Black Oath game pulled up, and we're like, oh yeah, they sent us this to look at.
Right.
And I'm like, huh. I'm like, thanks, Alex, you're cool.
That's wild. Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
You guys
and
were
it's
in
funny
the
because
early
you don't
playtest for.
typically.
You guys were in an early playtest for Legends of Akaroth, right? Before even the name was revealed, you guys did. Yeah, that was right.
Yep, that's correct.
I remember when that was promoed. Yeah.
That is very correct. Yep, we did a early preview of the game before we weren't even allowed to say the name.
I remember I was in that stream. Yeah.
I want you to know, literally before that stream, we sat in a call while Hime had to go through it with like a Sharpie and basically black every spot where the name comes up on every page, just so we can still show what the book had, but without getting in trouble.
Yeah. Well, it's just such a cool thing that we get to do, and circling like all the way back to the beginning, talking about like making community and making space for people. And I'm gonna kind of wander around here. Maybe I'll get to a point. Maybe I won't a particular point. But like, you know, we had a conversation again. I said like on the phone a couple months ago. And and I was curious, and I was asking you because I know why I do this, and I don't shut up about it. But I think I had asked you. I was like, so like, what's your why behind doing this? Why do you do this? And I remember it clear as day. You were just like, I just want to put on a good show. And I was like, what a cool thing to say. Yeah. So I was wondering if you wanted to talk about that at all. Like, that's the kind of thing that I'm looking for. There's so many creators out there doing all sorts of things, and it's like, yeah, but what's your thing? Like, why? You know?
Yeah. I can elaborate a bit on that. So it's kind of funny because it's everyone streams for their own reason, or for some people, you know, some people do this because it's to be honest, it's money. Some
Yeah.
people do it because it's a hobby. Uh,
Right.
it just kind of depends on like what you want to get out of streaming. And I think like the number one thing I've had to do when I sit down and talk to people that want to get into streaming or ask me about streaming, and the first thing I want to say is, well, what do you want to get out of streaming? Because to me, I do this because I see it as a way for me to really, I guess, put myself to the test and say, I want to make a show that's really fun that I can go back and watch and have fun watching as well. Because if it's something that I feel like I can sit down and enjoy, then I could feel like, maybe some people would have some fun uh, with whatever we're doing. Whether it be I'm sitting here reading a book out loud on stream, which I'll be honest, I was terrified to do my first time to sit down and basically open up a copy of like literally when I opened up my copy of like the Mega 10 TTRPG and I sat here reading it. I was shocked to see people wanted to sit here and listen to me read a book out loud, or just sit here and just talk about random stuff while I'm playing an older game. And it's like,
Yeah.
look, let's be honest. I'm playing these older games are dead categories. Let's be real, and a lot of it is just,
At least you
it's
have
mainly
categories.
don't tell me.
We're gonna talk
But
about
like, you
Twitch and
see what I
YouTube
mean?
here in a minute too.
Oh yeah, but like you see what I mean though. For me, it's more like I want to see if, for me, can I put a show on that's fun for people to pop in, pop out, and just hang out, really?
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, to me, at the end of the day, putting on a good show is way more than just, I'm here clocking in at the ball smashing factory every day. No, it's more like, am I having fun? And that's
Yeah.
the thing that I feel like some people kind of forget in this process, where it's like,
Hmm.
are you having fun doing this?
Yeah. Well, and I'll
Like,
give a shout out. We've mentioned Bones already. I'll give a shout out to Bones. I was
yeah,
dropping in his stream the other night, and he was also talking about, just wanting to be like wanting to elevate and like make a good product. And I was like, I vibe with
yeah,
this, and that's why I end up hanging out with
yeah,
Bones, and that's why I end up hanging out with you, and that's why I'm just like, these people they're like, they're trying to make something, and like all the work that you guys put into. This is where we're going to pivot to talking about
yeah,
live streaming and VTubing, where like you guys
yeah,
put
yeah,
so much creative effort into everything that you do, from your overlays and your backgrounds, and like you said, you have that retro background overlay that you use for certain games, and then you
mhm,
have the one
yeah,
where it looks like a Game Boy screen. It says "Totally Legit Game Guy Advanced" on the bottom. It's
yeah,
just
yeah,
funny, and it's fun, and it like creates this
yeah,
cool,
yeah.
and like all the model work and the schedules that you guys put out and all this stuff, and it just clicked for me like an hour and a half ago. Speaking of which, I
Yeah.
assume we're still good to keep going, because I was like, I'll make
Oh
sure we
yeah.
have an hour,
Oh,
but I'm good to
trust
keep
me.
going.
Look,
Um,
you're good. We're good to keep going.
but yeah, like
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
there's an element of this creation that is, it's art creation as well.
yeah,
And I know I've had this happen, and I'm sure you have as well. But like sometimes you have the stream where you come down off the stream and you're like, that wasn't my best. That wasn't my
yeah.
best stream.
No,
So like
I can
like
definitely tell you I've had that
yeah,
happen where
like
it's like,
how does that go for you? Like when you come
well,
off of those, like what are you thinking? Like
what
what are
do
you
I do?
feeling? Yeah.
I think about, okay, it's funny because I've had that happen a couple of times, whether it be maybe you've had a long day at work and you still try to do a stream, but you realize you're maybe not at your best. And
Yeah.
that happens. You know what I mean? I guess some of the other thing is you got to come into it with the mindset of not every day is going to be the best day, but that's okay. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I will say, like, as someone that now that I've been streaming as a VTuber for what, 2 years now, I can tell you now it's like not every day is going to be amazing, and that's okay, and that's fine. Like, I know a lot of people get very self-conscious about this stuff, and I understand. You know what I mean? You want to put your best foot forward, and obviously, when people chime into your stream or maybe raid in or whatever, that's their first impression of you, and maybe
Right.
their only impression of you,
Yeah.
and that's fine. You know what I mean? That's kind of the nature of the beast, And how do I feel when I come off of maybe one of these streams where maybe I don't think I did so great? I kind of look back and think, well, what could I do a bit better? Maybe was it the content that I did? Maybe it was my attitude towards something. Because I've had some stuff like that happen sometimes, where like sometimes I'll play a game on stream and I'm like, maybe this doesn't exactly work for stream type of content
Yeah.
versus like personal play. And it's like, I know, like, for example, I know one of the things that uh was kind of like a question mark for a bit was, like, for example, when I was playing Kingmaker. I like that game, but it is a long,
It's a grind.
multi-hours long
It's a grind, and
CRPG.
it's built off of
And
PF1. It's a lot.
and and it's like I enjoy it, and I think I use that as a good way for me to talk about Pathfinder 1E while I go
Right.
through an adventure that's fairly competent, not too hard, not too easy. That'll be a different story when we play Wrath of the Righteous. You're gonna see me get very salty because you're gonna have to actually sweat to beat that game.
You know,
That game is
actually,
very min-maxy. That
see,
game was like, okay, so you know how to play Pathfinder. All right, show me.
if you
Like,
stream Wrath, that'd be great
yeah.
because then I don't have to play it,
Oh, I
and then
love that
I
game.
can just
It's
consume the
so
content.
much
Yeah,
fun.
that'd be
Oh
great.
yeah, but you see what I mean though. It's like sometimes it's a matter of what type of content that I do,
Hmm.
or trying to find like what works. It's
Yeah,
tricky.
I've been strategizing, with different things, so we're like into the chatting now section of the interview,
Yeah.
right? So everybody watching, like, we're just chilling now. I've had, I've been thoughtful and strategic about what I stream and when, and there have been times where I'm just like, there's a couple elements, like sometimes there are certain ideas that you need a certain amount of participation in chat for the idea to even work, and you're like, well, I'm not there yet,
Yep.
so I have that idea, but I can't do it yet, but we're getting there, and that's fine. There's progress,
Hmm.
and everything's going that way. And then other times, I've tried something and I'm like, I wasn't sure going into it, and I should have listened to that voice because that one didn't hit. And then you have the ones
Yeah.
where they hit and you're just like, nailed it. Like some of my
Yeah.
best,
No,
I'm
I
just like,
totally.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, and I totally understand what you mean because like I could tell you there are some things that maybe I wouldn't do as of now, but I could give you an example like doing a campaign where chat is the player will go forward because again,
Right.
it requires a certain amount of input and
Mm-hmm.
participation,
Mm-hmm.
and not everyone is always a chatter, and that's fine. Some people are watching on their phone and it's hard to type or
Yeah.
other things like that, and
Second screen at
that's
work or
totally
whatever.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that either because again, we appreciate lurkers. Everyone's awesome, and you know what I mean. It's like just the support in that regard's totally fine too, and that's fine.
Absolutely.
That's like why it's like I would say you can totally do those things. It's just understand like sometimes participation may be up or down, and that's just kind of how that works.
Yeah.
I think like another good example of that is like for example, show this on my own. We're doing a Pokemon tournament with me and Cassie. And me and Cassie were cracking up because we realized we're probably going to get all of the people to submit their teams on the last day.
Right.
Because it's one of those things where you'll make the announcement and then you won't hear back from everyone or anyone until the day of. And then we're going to have to do a lot of checking everything. Oh my God, everyone's asking, how do I sign up and add my team? And I understand. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
funny because that's just how it is. That's like if you've ever ran like I don't know, like a card game tournament or like a fighting game tournament. Happens all the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like totally understand and it's fine. It comes and goes. Also, thank you guys again for the channel.
So here's a
And,
great chat from Simon on my side. He says some people don't delude themselves that their opinion matters as far as not participating in chat. There's people who are just like, no, nobody wants to hear what I have to think. I promise you, I'll speak for myself. I want to hear what all of you have to think. I promise you. You could say the craziest
Where's
stuff,
my
and I
mic?
will interact with you. It'll be great.
Thank you, Chuck. My bad. I didn't realize the music was a little bit too loud. Thank you. There we go. That should be a bit better. Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So funny. Yeah, just think
yeah.
about like the
Go for it.
creation of the on these platforms and everything, and like and it's funny because I was around all of you guys in your chats, and I was like, I'm going to be starting a channel. I'm going to be starting a channel. I'm like, there's a personal life thing I got to get over the hurdle of, but then I'm going to start my channel. And it's just funny. I was like, it's going to be on YouTube, and everybody's like, oh, but that's like not as interactive. And I'm like, I know.
It's
So that was what I'm after.
if you want my honest opinion on that,
Of course, I
it's
do.
a very tricky thing because I think YouTube is good for other things. Like I think its playback features are a little bit better.
Oh yeah.
There's a good bit of like technical things that work, but it also has a lot of other issues where if you want like a very high level view, I can give that where it's like when you're looking back and forth on that, I would say it's like growth on YouTube is technically better as long as you have also video content on your channel because
Mhm.
it could be the case if someone is watching a video on your channel and they see the red ring around your profile picture and they're like, hey, they're live. Why don't I see what that's like? And that's usually it's one click in to get them to, hey, watch the stream. Moderation tools are not as sophisticated on YouTube, unfortunately.
I have never had to
That
use
is the
them.
problem.
I don't know where they are. I've never
Yeah.
had to moderate anybody yet. And I'm just
Yeah.
waiting for the
Yeah.
day. I'm like, I'm going to have to click
Yeah.
around and be like, hold on, everybody. Sorry for that racist thing. I'm going to have to clear it. I don't know
Yeah.
how. It's coming. I know
Yeah.
it's coming, but I haven't had to use them yet.
Yeah, and it's like that is kind of like the issue of something that does happen is like moderation tools have some issues. I know there's for other technicality reasons. So like say if you're a subscriber or like a member on YouTube, you do get better member benefits of like either access to a private Discord server with everyone, or you could have videos come out early, or other cadences or messages. I would say you could even make, if you wanted to, you could make your VODs members only temporarily or something like that. The only issue is like the emotes that you get for it can only be used on that channel. You can't use it anywhere else.
Yeah, there's really so Twitch, and I've seen this. Twitch is really great
like,
about the interconnectivity. Yeah, of like linking everybody together, the raid features, and like unlocking the emotes for everywhere. The discoverability is just way higher. But I just had a different set of priorities.
Tricky. and it's like the discover, like, and I will say in the converse of that, Twitch also has a lot of very big issues in that same regard, where it's like if you want a technicality reason, it's like why you can't use your emotes in other channels on YouTube. It's for harassment purpose.
Sure.
That's the real reason.
Yeah.
That's the actual reason why it doesn't work, is because they don't want people to get harassed. And unfortunately, that is true. People would use emotes to harass in other channels. They killed it immediately. Other issues would be like, let's see, modding on YouTube is a lot more clunky than I can imagine, Killer, because you've been doing that recently. The other thing I would say is just like regarding to like Twitch, it's like okay, Twitch is very top heavy, so you get drowned out severely fast by everyone above you. And growth naturally is kind of a spur of the moment thing. It's just kind of something that happens. It's a flash in the pan. A lot of it is just like like a lot of the way you grow on Twitch is mostly from other avenues to sort of funnel back into Twitch, or at least wherever you're primarily streaming, which in this case it's Twitch. That's just kind of how it works. But a lot of the other things is I think categories are good, but the problem with categories is dead categories, a lot of categories that are just mislabeled, multiple categories of the same thing. Like I'll tell you right now, go ahead, type Final Fantasy VII and see how there's like multiple categories. Or when I typed Mass Effect, EA is like, oh, we'll just put Mass Effect as a whole category, not Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect.
Nice.
And so if you're just playing Mass Effect on the Xbox 360, you need to figure out which one. And you see, the problem is it's like it's unorganized, it's messy, it's bad. It leads to a lot of clunkiness in that regard, and just or tabletop the tabletop game category is everything. There's no specification. There's no tabletop RPGs. It's just tabletop.
Well, then you have just chatting, and it's like there's 10 million people watching just chatting. But what are they chatting about?
and like that's the thing. It's like we're technically just chatting right now. That's what I'm in. But like, you see what I mean? Well, the categories are helpful. It does lead to other issues where you get drowned out, and that's just understandable. That's how it works. You know what I mean? It is a very bloated category. That's also why they added tags for your streams and stuff like that.
Sure.
There's special events. My problem is that with special events, it's kind of a dead category, because it's like, okay, you could stream. Like if I streamed my Donathon in the special events, that would have been great. Problem: no one would know what the fuck I'm doing.
No, they wouldn't. And they'd have They'd have to actively look for special events? Like, who's going to do that?
Or no one is doing
Nobody's going to do that.
No one is doing that.
Yeah. Oh, here's a hot take from Zach. My number one beef with TTRPG streamers is when they don't put the game title in the stream title or tags, because tabletop does not help.
Nope, not at all. And that's the same reason why special events is a bad category, because what's the event? What are you doing?
Yeah.
You see what I mean? It's like, that's why, like, when I was doing the Donathon, every time we switch games, change category, because how else is anyone going to know what we're playing, what we're doing? You know what I
will
mean?
say one thing that's
the hard part.
There's been a very rare few times for me. My streaming windows are usually, without fail, 2 to 3 hours. Like at 3 hours, I'm pretty much tapped out, unless I'm doing something like Minecraft, where I can go for like 8 hours, because I'll just hang out and then I'll be like singing while I'm playing Minecraft or whatever, which is great fun. It's a lot of fun. But like for the most part, like I have these 2 to 3 hour windows. But I've had a few times where it's like sometimes I'm like, I want to do something shorter and then pivot into something else. But the way that I have it set up is so I'm set up for low effort, Vice. That's how I'm set up. Like I
Ain't nothing wrong
stream,
with that.
I say, good, great. Now the VOD's already there, done. Like the thumbnail got made before I went live. I'm done. I'm on to the next thing, and that's so low effort for me. That's what I love about it. But I'm like, sometimes I wish that I had like some mechanism to like split things or cut them in half, because if I wanted to drastically pivot, and I also did this to myself because I made these 3 little sub brands. I've got my like talking sub brand, which is what we're in now. This is my London hour. I've got my London Station simulators, my gameplay stuff, and then my Discovery Core is like my looking at RPG product stuff. It's a really great distinction, and it makes for really great playlisting.
And I think that's good.
But like, it's like if I'm ever going to switch between them, I'm kind of like, I should probably end the stream and restart another stream. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm like, I don't know how like it is if you rename streams midstream and stuff like that. So I'd imagine you need to just like close and restart.
Yeah,
and
I would just close and restart.
Point,
and it would be pretty fast, honestly, because YouTube Studio, you just slap. I mean, I would make it ahead of time, and I would have it ready to go, and then I would just end and then jump into another one. Go refill my coffee and then be back at it. So pretty much.
Oh yeah, and also to Chuck's point, I bet we top the charts when you stream. You're like, absolutely we do, because we're the only people.
Well, that was I was going to talk about
like,
categories. The one streamer I never used Twitch ever, never used it.
Yeah.
And the one time that I started to use Twitch, I like wanted to find something to listen to while I was doing whatever, and I always loved Tales of Symphonia from the GameCube. Thought it was a great game. So one day I was like, I wonder if anybody's playing Tales of Symphonia. Look up Tales of Symphonia. There's like 3 people playing it. I'm like, let me jump into this dude's stream. I ended up making like a good friendship with this guy for like a year and a half, and just like was in like every one of his streams, because that's the other thing about streaming too, is some people are streaming and video creation. Some people are a specific type of content, and some people are like the term variety streamer applies to a lot of people, but some people are what I'd consider like a personality streamer. Like, I don't care what you're doing, I just want to hang out with you, right?
Like I can give you a good example with that on that, because specifically look, people have hit me, they're like, you're a variety streamer. I'm like, I mean, technicality wise, sure, but like I still stick within sort of what I deem stuff that I think works more for me. I'll go out of my boundaries, and I always make the joke, you could argue this too is an RPG, but you know what I mean? It's like, for me, it's like I typically like to stay within the bounds of, I like looking at RPGs. That term is kind of a broad umbrella nowadays, but you know what I mean. And on top of that, it's like, I like tabletop games and stuff like that, and I will look into these things and play some of them. And, it's more like right now, why haven't we done like a big tabletop stream in a while? Is because I've been working on stuff. And we are going to do another follow-up stream where we're going to build stuff for Triangle Agency with everyone. But you see what I mean? Where it's like, I think like the joke that I used to always say is for people that are, I guess this is something silly you could say, is like a bit of a divide and conquer. Because when I'm playing a lot of these older RPGs, if there's something that no one has ever fucking played before or knows what it is, like, for example, when I stream Xenosaga, I am the Xenosaga streamer. There is no one else. Or if they are, it's one person, and then they jump into my stream.
Which is good, because it means that there's a lot of self-respect out there in the universe,
Yeah.
And then there's you.
Yeah. Let's see. I guess technically, but when I usually think RPGs and TTRPGs, I think of Vice. Thank you. And it's like, I do typically like to, like I said, I stick within like sort of my category of things that I like to look at. There are things that I, do play occasionally. Like even on the side, I was talking with some friends that we might be doing some Monster Hunter World at some point, because I've never played Monster Hunter World, and that could be something we might do down the road. And just, other things like that in general. It's like, it's tricky because like when I'm playing a lot of these older games, it's a dead category. Like, you're the only person streaming this game. And sure, that's great for visibility when you're the only person playing this game. But at the same time, you know what I mean? It's like, there's also no one looking for this.
True.
Unless they're the super diehards.
Right. And then they're the ones that don't understand when they come into your Yick stream. I got a couple chats here I want to clear out real quick. So Killer makes a very good point, but I'm going to challenge you on this, Killer. He says another big YouTube versus Twitch difference is latency. He's got both sides of the interview open. Twitch is 30 to 40 seconds ahead of YouTube. Killer, you're probably right. However, my internet signal, is going from my tower through a wireless adapter to a range extender plugged in back there across the house to the modem, which is then going to its satellite dish because I have wireless internet that's going to a tower. I pay for 25 megabits per second. I usually get about 8. So that might be YouTube.
That's rough. Oh, man.
That might just be me.
It's okay. I feel that.
And then Zach was talking about, as they were talking about, the interactivity of YouTube is pales in comparison with Twitch, where you can do the custom, all the channel points and all the redeems and all that fun stuff, which I don't want to see personally. I'm like, that's going to distract me. That's why I came over here in the first place. But Zach was saying, you can spam the little reaction buttons, and you can see the little reaction buttons. Another fun thing about the YouTube reaction buttons is after the fact, I can go into my analytics and I can see where they spike. And the biggest spike of reactions that I've ever seen on my channel, of any stream I've ever done, was the stream where I came out as trans and put on a dress for the first time and came back into frame, and it's like the graph is like all the way through the roof. So it is fun every now and then to go look back at it, but it's pretty funny.
Yeah, and it's like, if anything, it's like I do think the back end analytics stuff to look at on both of the platforms I think is pretty good.
It's good, but we should not look at it.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm like, it's cheating because YouTube is just Google, and it's like, I know why it's the way it is, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, whatever. And then it's like, Twitch's is like good enough, but it's like, you could export it as like an Excel file, and I'm like, I'm not gonna go further than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, I will say, the other thing is chat interactivity is a little bit better on Twitch for obvious reasons, because there's a lot more incentive. Like, they do polls, they do things. Super Chats is like an interesting way to sort of merge a donation with getting a highlighted message on screen.
Mm-hmm.
But these are things that have always existed on Twitch in different means, whether it be a Streamlabs or a Ko-Fi donate that pops up with
they just brought it in house because they didn't want anybody else getting a cut.
Yeah, they don't want to pay someone else, you know what I mean? That is understandably so. I get it, but you know what I mean?
You probably heard that I shared this revelation because I was so confused. So on my normal overlay, I have 3 little buttons, right? And one of them's for a while it was most recent subscriber, tip goal, whatever. Yeah. And for the longest time I had one, and it was latest super chatter. And I went through a month, and I was like, God, it's really strange. I've gotten tips, but I've never had anybody give a super chat. This is the weirdest thing. And I look into it. I'm like, I don't get super chats until I have 500 followers. I was like, that's a feature I don't have. I should change my overlay.
Yeah, it's something like that. You know what I mean? It's like, sure, but
I'm like YouTube, don't you? What? Okay, I mean, somebody else is getting the processing fee on this. Why are you holding that back from me? Just let them pay through you. You'll get more money.
Yeah, yeah. They're not really too smart with it.
Oh, wild. There was another question. I want to ask this one. So Zach had asked in the thread, I know my answer to this. Have you ever considered creating your own TTRPG, be it for VTuber lore /universe or something else? System or adventure, etc., etc. Yeah.
That's tricky because I know I have thought about trying to make something similar to I literally did my VTuber debut playing World of Horror, and I've done a ton of World of Horror stuff. I would like to try to make something similar to that, but I know that does already exist in a couple of different games. I feel bad because it might just be the same as another game. If anything, it's I would be looking to make something like an adventure or something like that for sure. If not an adventure, I would like to make something I can make Night at the Archivium. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
oh God,
we could do something fun. I've got some idea, but I would be interested in making something. Yeah. I just, it's more or less it's a timing issue right now. Yeah. I would absolutely love to. If I had way more time in my day, 100%.
We could easily fill.
I would love to make one.
If we could double our time, we could both easily fill that time.
Oh, trust me.
There's so much I want.
If I had the time on hand, absolutely, I would. I would absolutely make. Because I would actually want to use a bunch of tarot cards in it. Ooh. And there's a ton of stuff that I'd love to do. I genuinely had a lot of fun with. Yeah, you're not busy. Oh God, yeah, I know. I'm always. As of lately, I feel like I'm always busy. There's always something I'm working on. Yeah.
Oh, good stuff. We do need to, at some point, also talk about music.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Just in general.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I
But
know I had a lot of fun when me and Nick or of Sleeping Bears did our
yeah,
video game music stream, which we're gonna do a sequel of
let's.
at some point. We have to plan it.
Is Nick still here? It'd be great to embarrass him. I don't know if you're here
Yeah.
still here, Nick. Oh well, either way. I've shouted out Nick a few times. Nick is awesome. So
Oh
Nick
yeah. No,
today
Nick
was
is awesome.
today was streaming. I like again, Nick, cool guy. I'm like, I don't care what you're playing. I'm gonna hang out if you're available. So
Yeah,
sorry
absolutely.
that I don't know what you're playing, but he's playing this game. he's going through this game play, and this is what's so cool about creation, right? Like
Mhm.
Vice Captain has his vibe. London, she has her vibe. Nick's got his vibe. He's over here playing the game, and then he's like, okay, now listen to the droning beat here and how it links to the track as you progress from this part of the stage into this part of the stage. And he's taking his music expertise and knowledge and applying it through the lens of video games because he's a professional who makes video game music. Shout out to of Sleeping Bears, Nick. Anyway, he's a friend of all of us, so you'll find him one way or another if you don't know his existence. He's out there. Really cool guy. And then a couple weeks ago, he does the stream, and he's like, here's a bunch of crazy instruments that I have. And that was like the most fascinating thing I've ever seen in my life. He pulling out like this thing that looks like a bassoon, and he pulls it out and he goes, this is a real live quote. He pulls it out. He's like, y'all want to hear an instrument that they'd play a specific note to scare away predators from sheep? And we're just like, yeah. Like, cool, man.
Yeah.
Like, let's go. So there's so much
Yeah,
creativity
pretty
out
much.
there. And it's funny, like, you know, what you would call like smaller creators. Like, we're all small creators in the grand scheme of things.
Oh yeah.
But like, I'm so out of the picture of like television shows and movies and whatever. I'm like, all of my like content that I'm consuming is things that I'm actually building relationships with people. And I know you got to be wary of like the parasocial dynamics, but it's like, you know what?
Oh,
People
of
get
course.
parasocial
Yeah.
about the people on Critical Role, so don't even come at me with that. I'm like,
Yeah, like I was
Laura
gonna say, if
whoever,
we
and I'm
wanted
like,
to
I don't
talk
know who
about
that is, and I don't care. You know, I'd rather know more about my friend Vice than some fancy person who's on Critical Role. Like, I don't care.
No.
But it's just such
And
cool.
it's like I do
community.
understand that, and I guess something to say, even more so a difference to bring up, especially regarding the fact that I'm a VTuber, and this is something that does happen. These are things that we do have to sort of keep an eye out, and other things, especially when it comes to like being overtly parasocial with people and everything like that. Because granted, I'm a male VTuber, it doesn't necessarily happen nearly as much, but it can happen, and it does happen to some other people, and
Yeah.
it sucks when it does. And it's whether the person themselves is being parasocial with their audience, because I have seen that in some cases.
It can go both ways, yeah.
It's not good. Yeah. It's just, these are like the things that you need to keep an eye out for and just sort of keep everyone in check. You know what I mean? Because again,
Yeah.
we don't want a situation where either someone puts themselves in a bad situation, vice versa, someone pulling people into a bad situation. Because
True.
like I don't know how savvy you are in the whole sphere of the ridiculous amount of VTuber drama that exists out there, but that particularly is a thing where it's like
A little bit.
some cases where some female VTubers will drag in their whole audience and basically try to skim the top for money or other things.
Yeah.
Or vice versa, it'll be the other way where they stalk a person and it's horrible.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So these are like some of the big major things that we do look out for. You know what I mean? It's like you don't want that to ever happen. That should
No.
not be the case. But
No.
unfortunately, it happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I can
That's
say I'm
wild.
glad it hasn't happened to me, but again, I'm not someone that is typically the target of these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's another interesting thing when it comes to like being an internet personality, we'll call it. Because
Yeah,
to
pretty
whatever degree that we're big enough to like count as an internet personality, the point is like we're out there and it's us.
Yeah.
It's our
No,
voice
absolutely.
talking. In my case, I'm also on camera. And that's been an interesting thing that I was just kind of like, I don't know, I'm just whatever. But I also realize that comes from a place of privilege because, you know, I'm 6'1", and I could probably handle myself in a situation if I got into a bad one. And like, you know, I don't know, not everybody's in the same place. And yeah, everybody take care of yourselves. That's the lesson from this segment.
no, absolutely.
Watch out, take care of yourselves.
Yeah, no,
'cause
for real.
yeah.
It's like, even in the sense that I could say, like, I know end of this coming month, I'm going to Offkai. And it's like, would you guys see pictures from that trip? Possibly, but you know what I mean? It's like, that's not necessarily.
That's a discussion to be
the
had
goal.
ahead of time for sure, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like if other people were going to Offkai and they wanted to meet me, sure, but that's really it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
stuff like that. Uh, it's you know what I mean. It's more a case of like be safe, people.
yeah.
Don't do anything stupid, and
Hmm.
don't do anything rude in public, please.
Well, yeah, and I mean that kind of goes into the like. There's so many reasons to be or not to be a VTuber that it's
Yeah,
like it would be foolish to assume, but like, um, so I don't know to what degree you're comfortable talking about like what made it exciting for you. For me, not being a VTuber was a matter of convenience, and I'm like, I don't want to learn all this stuff.
yeah.
I don't want to pay for all this tech. I assume
Um,
costs some money. I don't know.
yeah,
I have a crappy camera and I can go. That's the other thing
yeah.
I think is
No,
really
that's fair.
neat that I can do that a lot of you guys can't do. This is something that just clicked for me today as I was thinking about this interview. Is like I can have props. I can like grab the
Yeah,
books
you can
and
just you can do stuff.
I can do
Yeah, my
stuff.
props are all digital. I have to like,
Yeah,
hold on,
you gotta
what
like
do I got
make
here? Hold
them
on.
and like, but
I have to like grab my assets and like just grab all the stuff here. Hold on, I'll put on the sleeping mask.
yes, that's the stuff. But
Other
that's
stuff
the
like
thing.
that.
That's the stuff that you guys can do. Like when you guys did the oh, what was it? Your New Year's Eve like retrospective
Yeah, the
whole
New Year's
thing.
Eve stream.
That was so cool,
Yeah,
and it was like a surprise. It's like these
yeah,
avatars, these characters, these models that are stand-ins for you and your personality and like how people know you. And like all the customization and stuff like that. It's like I've been around people who like don't understand it and they're like, "What's this VTubing thing about?" And they're just like, "Ah,"
no, trust me. I
Yeah,
want you to know. Like, I guess I could also springboard into talking a bit about like how I even got into VTubing
sure,
because, uh, like, so there was the period of time that I streamed with Kyle where it was just us, no mic, etc. I took a break from that because IRL situation changed. Where it was like the funniest thing I can say is I switched jobs or I had a job that took so much time that I just didn't have time to stream anymore, and it sucked because I wanted to, but I didn't really have enough time to do it.
mm-hmm.
So it's like ultimately a while later after I ended up switching jobs. I think it was like what when did I start streaming? I was like 2 years now. I was like 2024. It was like well after the pandemic a bit. I would switch like I had switched jobs again or something like that, and I was in a position where I was like, you know what? I was someone who was following a bunch of VTubers, and it was fun watching that. And I was like, you know what? I do want to get back into streaming, but I wanted to have something that's more of a representation of me on stream because yeah, it's fun
Mm-hmm.
and all hearing disembodied voice, but I also didn't want to have myself on camera because of
Yeah, your
the
own
type of
reasons,
job
whatever
that I
they are.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like type of job that I work. I'm like I would prefer that I'm not on camera. You know what I mean? So I was like, why don't I instead just get a VTuber model and do it that way? And I know it sounds silly, but it's like the funniest thing is it's like the lamest answer I could give is like, yeah, I just wanted to do that because I wanted some sort of representation of me on stream, but I didn't want to show my face. So I ended up doing that, and it's really funny because a lot of my friends didn't like VTubers, or they were only warming up to the idea. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna say this in the most loving way ever. You want to know who was the biggest hater?
I do.
It was Bones.
Nice.
Bones did not like VTubers at all
Mm-hmm.
back then. And after like really because he didn't understand it. Because again, this is the common complaint when you think of VTubers. A lot of the indie VTubers you think of are like busty anime women,
Right.
right?
That's the stereotype.
And
I'll tell you a story
when your
about that
friend
real quick.
yeah, and
So
it's like your friend just tells you. Yeah,
this there was this year of time, really difficult time in my life. That's when I was spending time in all of you guys' chats and streams and everything like that, and not spending time with other community I had built. Big drama in my life. Whatever. It's over.
yeah,
Um, and like when I got to reconnect with that community, that side of my life and my community, I was like, yeah, I've been spending time with all these new friends I've made and all these VTubers and everything like that, and they're just kind of like, okay. And it was after I had launched my channel, and somebody I had posted, I think it was Hime's like Obsidian, like here's how to use Obsidian to play TTRPGs
yeah.
video. And I had somebody, close person reach out to me, and they're like, okay, I get it now. Like, I could see you having a model because like you don't know that they can just be tasteful and cool because the image
Yeah.
is just exactly what you were saying. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. No, and you're right. Only knowing Bones nowadays, it's hard to imagine him being a VTuber hater. It's funny because again, it was the sense of a lot of my friends had just seen VTubers and it's just busty anime women
Yeah.
making loud noises on a stream being an obnoxious. You
See,
know
that's
what I
Funny
mean?
Unleashed because I could see it.
That's
I could see Bones being a
yeah.
VTuber hater.
Bones is my favorite hater. But like, you know what I mean? It's like because that's what it was back then. Really, it's like outside of like Hollow Live, which was the more known thing. It was just the indie scene, and the indie scene was all Lewid tubers, and
Right.
that's basically VTubers that primarily focus on like either flaunting sexual
Sensationalized content.
or
Yeah.
exactly. You know what I mean? And it's like a lot of there's no male representation in this. You know what I mean? There's none of that, and
Yeah.
I'm a male VTuber.
Sorry,
So
sorry, I'm leaving the
I'm
team.
already-
Sorry.
Yeah. So it's like I'm already a niche in a niche. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, and on top of that, I'm someone that I do not really like to do any sort of content in that sphere, anyways.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? It's like niche within a niche within another niche, and I play RPGs and all this other specific crap. So
Right.
it's like, you know, you're very much shunted away from a lot of that.
Yeah.
But the stigma still gets pointed at you, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
that did lead to some other issues where it's like a lot of like I originally I had no VTuber friends for a very long time
Mhm.
because they see a male VTuber, they're like, your model looks like shit, and you're a guy, so you're probably a sex pest.
Wow. Cool.
I'm not
Cool
yeah,
assessment.
No, a lot. No, and that was unfortunately how a lot of it went because a lot of male VTubers get hit with the stigma that you're either a sex pest or
Hmm.
you're someone who's looking for something else. You're here
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
something.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I can see that.
And that's a lot of the initial stigma that you go through, and it's kind of it sucks, but it's true because there's some people that are just like that, and it's like it's bad, but it is how it is. So you're introducing to VTubers was Labs, yeah, and he was a PNG tuber before, but yeah, no, like a lot of it is tough, and like you know, shout out to Unleash and any other male VTuber out there because it's like yeah, no, you get hit with a lot of stigma, and like a lot of people I reached out to just did not want to collab because you're a male VTuber. A lot of the other issue is trying to get assets or even to get model art done
Oh yeah.
was insanely difficult. Like my current model that I am, as you see me here, it took a while. Like it was reaching out to a Twitter artist that I liked who had done like unironically some memes that went viral. Um, and you know what I mean? It was like I reached out to them because I saw that they did VTuber art, and I was like, would you be willing to work with me on this? I'm
Yeah.
a male VTuber. I know you've done some male VTubers, but typically any artist that you reach out to, they only do female art. And it sounds really stupid to say, but yes, I've been turned down many times because they don't draw men.
Wow.
Yeah, no, they don't draw men. A lot of people can't get art done because either it's not Lewid, yeah, like Killer said, it can't be Lewid,
Yeah.
or it's men and they don't draw men. It's ridiculous to say it that way, but that's just how it is.
That's
yeah.
wild.
So you limit the pool of people you can work with, and then once you've got your standard of quality up that I feel is good enough, then you can maybe reach out to some people. Now, in the case of like reaching out to other VTubers, let's be honest again. If you're a guy, male VTuber reaching out to a female content creator, you have to talk through a middleman because if you
Yep.
reach out directly, they will not respond to you.
Yeah.
You need to reach out to a middleman and then have the middleman speak as a liaison for you most of the time. In the case of how me and Hime started talking, was the funniest shit ever. Because it was literally I saw one of their posts on Blue Sky. I'm like, I had no idea you could play tabletop games by yourself.
Right.
And we just talked back and forth, and then we were just DMing back and forth on Blue Sky, and then we just started talking on Discord.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then Hime raided me one time, and I was playing RuneScape, and that was literally
Sure.
the first like recorded long conversation that we had, where they explained how to play tabletop games, how they do it. I explained how I do it. They talked about their experience being a teacher and being a DM for a student group, and we just went back and forth like that, and it was cool. It was like
Yeah.
the first time we really hung out and talked, and then they hung out with me on a whole other stream, and I was like, awesome. I didn't realize we were friends now. Cool.
Yeah. It happens fast.
But no,
Well,
Hime was super cool, and it was really nice talking, getting to know them. And then from there, we were cool. We just like hung out and talked about tabletop games. They had me play Rift Breakers with them, and,
Right.
and we just kind of kept going from there. And really grateful that we did that because it was a lot of fun. You know what I mean?
You can make a lot of
It
really
was-
good connections, and you do kind of have to survive or get through, maybe not as great connections, but
Yeah.
yeah, because you never know where things are going to lead. And I haven't really traced this out all the way, but there's like a very specific chain of. Oh, you're back.
Wait. Oh, she's back. Hey, are you back? You back?
I'm back. I've always been here.
Okay.
You left.
Okay.
Actually, it was probably my internet.
Yeah, I was worried for a second. I think your internet cut for a
It was
second.
probably my internet.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You're good.
So anyway, I don't know
Welcome
if I got
back.
cut off on your end, but I was just talking about how like you can make really really cool connections and even to the point of like because I remember interacting with you the first little while in chats of other streamers' streams, and I don't know if you remember this, we had this kind of, I was pushing this kind of like funny like rivalry dynamic between us. Like I don't know, I was just like I was always jabbing at you because I thought it was funny, and then I was like,
okay.
it didn't last.
I want you to know
this
for
guy's
a
cool.
long period. I want you to know for a long period of time, I thought people just did not like me when I was hanging out.
Oh
on
no!
For a long period, because again, it's the same stigma of you're the male VTuber.
Oh no!
Someone who is female presenting. You know what I mean?
Well,
so a lot of people I assume people just did not like me.
I hope it didn't contribute to that. No, I always thought you were cool.
No, it's fine. Look, I have thick skin. You get used to it.
Yeah.
It's just, I always am under the assumption of they don't like you. They're here to understand why you're here. That's really it. And that's kind of how it goes. Really.
It's so funny though. It's like, yeah, just the way that like being in spaces and I don't know, being authentic can go, because I was thinking about like, again, like with the VTubing and the non-VTubing dynamic, ultimately, it's a lot easier for me to just turn on a camera. And most of my experience in content creation and community building was from another streamer who I know and have been in their community and mod for their community. And like, they were always just live on camera. And I'm like, I'll just be live on camera. Well, I didn't know when I started that I was trans. So like I was like, well, I'm just another guy streaming. And I'm like, no, I'm not. But the funny thing is, and this is, I'll share this story. This is a little vulnerable and I think it's cool. Is that for me, being on stream became the only safe place that I could present as myself. And so I was like, well, now I want to actively be seen on camera and have people I care about there. And luckily, I'm not a big enough deal for anybody to come in and give me any hate. So I'm like, this is perfect.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, it was actually, so if you go back in my channel, my very first stream, I'm completely male presenting. My second stream, completely male presenting. My third stream was my birthday. And my third stream, because I thought of myself as gender fluid at the time. My third stream, I was like, I'm going to wear makeup because it's my birthday and I've been experimenting with it and it makes me feel good and it's my birthday, so I'm going to do it. Because I had been talking with my friends and they were like, whether you do or don't want to wear makeup on stream, that there could be, just something to really be careful about and think about. But I decided to do it. And I've never streamed again since without makeup on. But when I was coming to accept fully that I was trans, I was literally in therapy talking to my therapist, and we were talking about the concept of like safety and like, when do you feel the most safe? And so I'm sitting here in this chair with my virtual therapy session, and she asks me like, when do you feel the most safe? And I do this, and I look up at my whiteboard up here, and I'm like, how do I make this answer not be about my gender? Because believe it or not, I'd had this therapy relationship for over a year, never once talked about my gender or anything to do with it, because I've got other stuff going on,
Yeah, no.
And I was like,
got like a million things. Don't worry.
So I'm like,
understandable.
I'm like, well, actually, therapist, let me bring you in on a couple other things. So I'm like, tell this whole gender story, and I was like, and I'm telling you all of this because I realized that I feel safest when I'm presenting in a way that feels most authentic to me, and I'm sharing that with people that I consider friends and family. And that was a Tuesday morning, and that following Wednesday night is the night where I came out as trans on stream. So it's like literally the act of being and creating community and creating space where I could be myself was one of many building blocks that enabled me to actually take that step. And so like, for what it's worth, everybody, all viewers watching this, maybe not the people on Vice's side who didn't know who I was, but everybody on my side, like, you were a part of that, and creating and holding space and community like that is what I'm trying to create as well for everybody else, whether you're streaming or not streaming, friend or friend to be. So there you go. There, I just waxed poetic about a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's been cool.
Yeah.
It's been really cool.
That's good. Yeah. So
they're hitting all the heart reacts now over on YouTube.
Oh.
Yeah. We should talk about music though. Let's talk about music. If you got time still.
Oh, look.
I know it's you. I know it's you. We could go for 9 hours. We'd be fine. But like, I gotta ask. You gotta ask.
God. Yeah.
Yeah, because we connected early on talking a lot about music, and I know we share an appreciation for Foo Fighters, and then we deviate in other ways. There's bands that you're into that I'm like, I'll never really listen to. There's bands I'm into that you've never. It blows my mind that you're not on the Muse train. That blows my mind.
I know.
It's funny. How did that not happen?
Okay, I have to laugh because I know. Okay, you're gonna laugh at me for this because it's like the person that I know who was definitely on the Muse train was Bones for a bit because like both his parents super loved it, and they would like mention it like he basically would always bring up that it was just something that he was more familiar with because like they played it. Same thing with Tool. I didn't really know about Tool till way later because it was not something that was in like my common sphere. A lot of the people around me didn't really know about Tool.
Mm-hmm.
Like at most, it's like for me, it's like the first concert I went to was going to see Foo Fighters in Madison Square Garden when they were playing Wasting Light, and that album was awesome. And that was
nice
a great concert.
Nice pull.
That was a sick concert. It was really
I didn't
good.
see Wasting Did I see Wasting Light? I did. Did I?
It was a good concert.
I did.
Great show.
Yes,
fun energy. They had what's it called? Social Distortion as the opening act before too.
Oh, right.
So you got to see them do their rendition of Devil's Ring of Fire live and everything. It was just a good time all around. It was a good show, good time.
Are you someone that like like your top groups in like a ranked order, or are you unable to? And I don't mean any shade to them.
It's hard for me to rank them because it's like it's kind of a hit and miss thing for me because it's like okay, I like it kind of depends what I'm in the mood for. I know like something that I ended up really liking a lot from like high school on was mostly like My Chemical Romance. I was always a big fan of Phoenix. I
don't even know Phoenix. What is Phoenix?
So Phoenix is a French pop rock group.
Huh.
They've been around. Like my favorite song by them is "If I Ever Feel Better," and that is from like their 2000s debut album.
You want to know what's funny? You want to know why I know that song?
What?
Because your karaoke stream.
Yeah.
So
I do.
That's another thing to mention.
Is my favorite song.
If anybody doesn't know, like I sing on my streams on occasion. Vice has done karaoke streams as well and has done covers and everything. So we're both musicians and singers as well. It's very cool. Yep. That's so funny. I'm like, oh, I know that song. Yeah. From you.
I really like that one. It's funny because something I feel is like such a big missed opportunity from a lot of these karaoke like apps and stuff like that. They don't have anything from Alphabetical. I think Alphabetical is one of their stronger vocal-based albums. It's mostly because it's less flashy. It's all acoustic.
Okay.
I think it's really good because Alphabetical has a lot of good vocal track songs, but there's not a lot of good karaoke bits. Now, I will say if you also play acoustic and you want to learn, you got some fun stuff you can learn there because it's basically all like acoustic guitar and maybe some guitar a little bit.
Yeah.
It depends on what you're in the mood for.
And then it's like you play guitar, right? Or you don't?
I do. I have multiple guitars. Yeah. I have 2 electrics and 1 acoustic.
Oh, nice.
And one of my I have a very beat up, broken electric guitar that was like a hand-me-down.
Sure.
And it's missing a back plate on it, so that shit will shock the hell out of you if you try to use it.
Duct tape. Vice, get some duct tape.
I've got.
Just bridge it with duct tape.
Well, that's why there's duct tape on it.
Okay. Good,
I know.
good.
Outside of that, I've had an older, or I have my Z-shaped Explorer that I have that I use, and I very much enjoy that.
Were you a performer? Like, were you in a band, or did you perform, or did you do solo or anything, or is it just personal use?
It was so it's funny because growing up, I was in any of the band programs that were available at
Mm.
like school because I went to public school and stuff like that. We typically had a lot of band programs that were available. They always cut the budget on these things, so unfortunately, you're there as long as you can. Growing up, I was in band from like elementary school all the way through to high school, and I went as a percussionist for a long time,
Mm.
and for a while, um, I was orchestral pit percussion, where
Oh
I
wow.
focused primarily on learning drum kits as well as learning any auxiliary or exotic types of percussion. I went then from there into playing a more jazz focused group where we were uh, like a smaller band that was more focused on jazz music. Then from there, I went and did some marching band in high school, but it was pretty brief because um, they fucked up the schedule and I got rescheduled into guitar class, and that's where I learned how to play guitar.
Okay, that'll work.
So it worked out in the end, I guess, because I learned how to play guitar from being randomly thrown into a guitar class because they fucked up and took me out of marching band by
Yeah.
accident.
So I
So I
learned.
went from being a drummer to learning how to play guitar. And the problem is, when you've been a drummer most of your life, you don't have a lot of that dexterity built up in your hands for complicated solos.
Oh,
So
okay.
I mostly did a lot of rhythm strumming.
Oh, sure. I mean, yeah, that's where everybody starts. So I learned because a
Yeah.
friend had gotten a 3/4 size acoustic, and with like the little intro
Yeah.
book and like the CD,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And so there's a program, and he just like didn't have time to get around to it, and so I was like, could I borrow it for a little bit? So I borrowed his 3/4, and I learned off of that. And then when I was 16, I got an electric for my birthday, and it was just like the Costco like $50 starter kit with a tiny little amp and
Oh yeah.
whatever. But it worked. And then this is actually the only other guitar I've
Did
ever
you ever
had.
set an amp on fire?
No, no,
I got one to smoke one time, and I was like, okay, now's the time where I have to
no.
do something else.
This one right here that I actually
I've
have is this is the one that I bought for myself with my first ever tax return. My
awesome.
first ever
That's
tax
awesome.
return as an adult was
Let's
like
go.
400 something dollars, and I went and I picked this up. And it's got like, I don't know if it's anything special, but it's got this really deep, rich sound, and it's pretty. It's got a lot of action on the strings, so it's kind of hard to play. But I've been getting back in the habit of it, and I've played a few songs on stream with it. But I need to learn more. Ultimately, I need to learn more songs on it. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome.
I always wanted to do drums though. My dad was a drummer, and I have a really good sense of
The
rhythm because
the
I
only problem
yeah
I will say is because where I am, typically you can't necessarily have like a full drum kit. So I've always had like singular pieces of drum kits
sure.
in my own personal space. I'd probably nowadays, now that I know how like you can set one up, I could probably get a digital drum kit and
Oh
use
right.
that. It doesn't have the same like feel as like a full drum kit,
Yeah,
but it's like mostly because it's like noise complaint reason. That's why I can't get a full drum kit as much as I would love to.
I
Um,
got no problems with noise complaints out here. I got a lot of space.
I can imagine. No, and it's funny because like I know for a long time one of my other friends he had a full drum kit, but he had to leave it in storage where it unfortunately started getting water damage when there was a
Yeah,
flood one time.
yeah, that's rough.
Because he was in the same case as I was, apartment where he was at, and there was just no good way to do what's it called? No real good way to play drums without like the proper like stage equipment to not make it a blast zone for the whole apartment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It's very tricky. It's very tricky.
So you mentioned Tool. I know we both like Foo Fighters. Phoenix, which I only know the one song. Um,
I liked. Okay, there's obviously things like the Killers. There's
okay,
things
Killers.
like
Yeah.
the Strokes.
Okay. Let's talk about the Killers for a second.
You got
Hot Fuss was amazing, and then
yeah
Samstown came out, and everybody went like, "What is this?" And Brandon Flowers literally was like, "They auto-tuned the crap out of us for Hot Fuss, and when it did well, they
yeah
actually let us sound like we wanted to sound in the first place." So, fun factoid.
yeah
Samstown, great album.
yeah. No, that makes sense.
Samstown goes on the list for me of one of the greatest road trip albums because
Oh, it absolutely is
just
such a good road trip
consistent.
album.
It's just consistent straight through, all the way through. It's just a vibe. The time will pass, and you'll be like, "Wow, we're 150
Oh
miles
yeah.
down the road." Like, great. So Samstown's great. Um, What's next? Day and Age. I loved Day and Age.
Yep, Day and Age was good.
Fourth was Battleborn, I think.
Yeah, Battleborn. Okay.
Okay, but I
I
love
was kind of
Battleborn.
kicking myself. All right, I was kind of kicking myself with this because that was the first concert that I really missed that I couldn't go.
Oh, bummer.
Mostly because at that point I think I was in one of my later years in high school. I think I don't remember when it was. It was. I remember because I was working and I couldn't go and I couldn't get the day off and I was like, damn it. And my problem was it was like in a whole other state too, so I had to like take the day off, then catch a train to another state, and then get to the show, then somehow make my way back. And I was like, this is so much work. It might not be worth it right now. I felt so bad because I was like, after Battleborn, it was like I just kind of fell off for a while because I was just like so bummed by that. It's so dumb.
I fell off because it's funny. Like my brother and I would always compare music tastes, and we were both on board with the Killers. And then Battleborn, I loved. He did not. But ironically, he went on to continue liking the band, and I fell off after Battleborn. I was like, Wonderful, Wonderful, I think was after that. And I was like, there's some good songs on it.
Yeah, Wonderful. It was like Don't Waste Your Wishes and Wonderful, Wonderful were like back to back.
And then I have no idea what they've done since. Like and they're the very rare band I'm looking at this, that I like let go of.
They did multiple.
Yeah. But I've never like let go of a band like I did with the Killers before, where I was like all in and then I just lost it.
Honestly, same. Yeah. And it's like it's weird because like I'm looking at this, I'm like, I didn't even know they made like their most recent album was 2022. I'm like, I didn't know they still made music.
Oh, I'm sure they're still making music. Yeah.
They're still making. Look, they got to make a paycheck.
He's a great vocalist. He's a fantastic vocalist. Clearly has the songwriting chops. Lyrical work is great. So there's a lot to like there. It's just I liked The Man, this I don't remember what album that even came out, but that was a good single. I was like, that's a fun song, USDA certified lean, it's great. It was a great track.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of fell off with them.
Yeah. I think you want me to get into some more of my controversial music takes, like other bands that I really love. Like I love the Strokes.
Strokes are great.
I love Gorillaz. We'll talk about those two. Okay, let me talk about the Strokes first because the Strokes are interesting because there's history I've got on this because I've talked about this before and the Strokes are interesting because they were a super big hit that came out. They were kind of seen as like the big rivalry between them and like the Killers. I know.
Oh really?
Yep. New single recently came out. I know they're still.
That's funny. I never would have put them against each other. That's hilarious.
They were a lot of rivalry when it came to getting like music awards back in the day.
Oh wow.
And I was just like. They were very much button heads on stuff.
Funny.
And yeah, so it's like I'm looking at this. Let me see. Like I'm looking at their album list here, and I'm just like, okay, let's talk about this because
I think I only really know their first two albums, to be honest with you. Well, and
so like, is this it?
Angles. Yeah. Somehow I jumped one and I got Angles, and then nothing after that. So.
Okay, so I got you. I can tell you about all these because these are all fascinating to me. So it's like, is this it? 2001 classic banger. This is very good. It's got a lot of like music that established their style, which led to inspiring a lot of current artists. Like I think a good example I could give you is an artist that was inspired. Okay, jumping back to Phoenix for a second here.
Sure.
An artist that was inspired by Phoenix, which ultimately was very cool because they did a remix of a Phoenix song and then ended up doing a song together with them, which was really good.
Oh, nice.
Was hold on. I know the song name, but I can't remember the band's name. Well, who is this guy? It's Two Door Cinema Club. There you go. Two Door Cinema Club. Big Phoenix fans and ended up working on a song with them. It's sort of in that vein where Is This It and the Strokes from the early 2000s, the sound that they gave was very specific, that it was studied by people to try and like, how do we recreate this? How do we do this? You know what I mean? And then from there, it's like, okay, Room on Fire, insanely good follow-up, 2003. That thing kind of knocked it out of the park and kind of put them on the map. People will come back and say, like, First Impressions of Earth, which was after that, was like, it has good songs in it. The problem is people will only go for, like, the headliner 2 tracks, which was like, You Only Live Once, Juicebox, and a couple other things. But things like Razor Blade and a couple other ones on that album, very solid. There's a lot of, like, good heavy tracks, but I can understand it's not everyone's cup of tea. Angles, okay, first up,
banger album art. One of the best album arts that they've ever done.
Pretty good.
And it's also, I think it was like the first time recently too, where like a lot of their music videos also share the same motif of they're on a stage performing. I think it was, I want to say, was it album, or was it this album with Angles, or I think only recently that they started doing some variations where they're doing other things in a music video, a la like a Foo Fighters or something like that. Angles was good. Angles, Under the Cover of Darkness. Okay, so the reason why this album like blew up really big was Under the Covers of Darkness, which was like the headliner track of that album, leaked. It leaked online.
Oh.
It leaked online a week before. And then they said fuck it and sold it as a single. And then they're like, yeah, it's part of the new album coming up. If you like it, buy the album.
Nice. Yeah, that
So
organic leaking.
Yep. Exactly. They were like, fuck it, whatever. It worked out in the end. And then it's like, is this album good? Sort of, yeah.
Okay.
I would say it's good. I would say like Machu Picchu's pretty good because it's creative work with like a lot of the like when you've listened to one Stroke song after you've listened to like 5 of them, you've listened to all of them because you understand.
A little true.
Julian has a range of like a specific type of singer.
Yeah. It's a vibe.
And-
They're a vibe band for me, and
Yeah.
like Angles as an
Yeah.
album is an album where I could not tell you if you played any of the songs for me. I could not tell you their names, but I'm like, oh, I know this song. I've listened to the album front to back a dozen plus times, but I just absorb it as one big blob, and I'm like, I couldn't tell you a single track name except for Machu Picchu because I'm like, well, that's a neat place in Peru. Like that's the only reason I know it.
Yeah, it's like in my opinion, it's like I think like everyone will say, oh, okay, Under the Cover of Darkness, it's the most played track on the album. It's the one that everyone knows. I think the silent killer of this album that's really good is Life is Simple in the Moonlight. I think that one steals the show. It's the last track on the album, and I think it's very cleverly done with how Julian's vocalization works with the tone of the music, the shifting of it. It just sounds beautiful, and I think it's very good, very fitting, very well done. When it comes to like some of the other tracks, some of them are just kind of mid in the middle. It's top loaded, and then the back end track's pretty good. I think overall pretty solid. After that, then you have Come Down Machine, which Come Down Machine was interesting because this was like before the massive break that they took, where Come Down Machine was like 2023 or no, it was 2013. And I remember when this album came out, it has good songs on it, and it's not the worst. But you could tell this was an RCA album because, well, it says RCA on the cover.
Yeah.
But the other problem with it is this was an album that was made because they needed a paycheck.
Oh, bummer.
And granted, you could say that, hey, isn't that with every album? Yes. But you could tell this was one that they were not happy about and wanted to make money off of. And they did it because at this point in real life, the band's members were kind of fraying, where the band essentially split up after this. And they only came together to do EPs because they needed a paycheck. Julian went and did a bunch of like solo work, and all of the other band members either joined different bands or did other solo projects, which to hit or miss success. Then they got back together and said, fuck it, we're doing New Abnormal. And that is like, that came out 2020 during the peak of the pandemic. And it's a good album because it sounds like a 2001 Stroke album. Like they came back and they said, fuck it, we realized now we've settled our differences. We kind of need to work together because we actually make good stuff.
Yeah.
And we make money.
My 2020 album of choice that I just remember being my pandemic album was Angel Miners and the Lightning Riders by AWOL Nation. AWOL Nation is a band that they actually took my number one band spot somehow in the last year, which hasn't changed for like 25 years. And they just kind of slowly snuck up there and took it. And I'm like, wow, how did that happen? But that was a great album. Interesting band in the way that like I think of the Strokes as I see the Strokes as like a vibe band. I see AWOL Nation as like this. I call them a sound band. They're like, and it's a solo project. I'll call it what it is. Aaron Bruno runs the whole show, but they're very much just like, let's make interesting sounds and make music around them. It's just the vibe I get from them, and I always really enjoy it. Yeah, love AWOL Nation.
Yeah, no, and I agree on that. Now another thing that I can go through that I think I've sat there on stream and I've ripped into this before because I'm a super Gorillaz fan where it's like I enjoy the albums. I enjoy it primarily for like a lot of the style where it's a mix of a bit of hip hop, funk, a little bit of early electronic music,
Mhm,
and it's got like a wide variety of range in the scope of what they do. My biggest problem, and this is going to sound very silly, is that Gorillaz is now primarily known as like a big collaborative effort and collaborative project. Now, that's not a bad thing. I think that can be very
Just
good and they do it
different,
to their
yeah.
advantage, and I think their most recent album pretty good. But what is my problem with it? Well, I actually really like a lot of what's it called? Here, let me like pull up their list here. I'll go shot for shot on this one. Hold on. Fire from the hip on this because I love these albums to pieces, and they're still some of my favorite albums that I would
we
go
need
to in a heartbeat.
we need
Plastic
to
Beach is like one of my favorites forever, but there's some that are just like hit and miss. It's like their first debut album, Gorillaz, hands down easy classic, one of my favorite 2001 albums. Lucky to Come Home, don't come home. Forget this album exists. Skip it. Demon Days, fantastic album. D-sides, I think it's good. People don't think it's good because they're like, oh, it just sounds like more of the same. When really it's leftovers from Demon Days that didn't make the cut,
Mhm.
but it also has some of the better remixes of those songs from Demon Days. So I think it's a pretty good one. Plastic Beach, you already know what this album is. If you haven't heard it, go listen to it. You'd like it a lot, probably. And that was like what I would say is the first of their massive collaborative projects. And I would say Demon Days was the start of that because Demon Days did have like the beginnings of they're getting more collaborators. Especially, I don't remember if it was that album or the other one afterward, where they had like MF Doom for was it Manana and a couple of other tracks, and I think those are pretty good. Demon Days is like one of the de facto albums that people would look at.
Mhm.
I would say Plastic Beach wins it because I think even though that is a massive collaborative project, it kicks ass. It's a good album. G-Sides is leftovers from their first album. We can skip that. The
Rough.
Fall is a bad album. I will say that. I don't think it's very good. And you could tell this was they made this and this was like D-Sides, The Fall and G-Sides all came out at the same time in that year because this was like typically this was seen as the end of Gorillaz. Like I remember specifically listening to the old Gorillaz radio show that they did where it was Murdoch's voice actor giving the whole speech of, oh, one day the Gorillaz are going to be released from their genie bottle in a jar. Maybe you'll hear from us again. Maybe when the world needs us again. We'll see.
Yeah.
And then they took their break and it was assumed the project was over. Then they came back in 2017 with Humans.
Okay.
And
Now,
I want your opinion on that.
I don't know. I don't know most of these albums. I don't know most of their tracks. I know their hits. Okay, but I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
When Hallelujah Money came out,
oh yeah,
I listened to that song. I was like, this song unsettles me in a way that I cannot stop listening to. I was like, it's bothersome. The music video was so like something.
Oh, yeah.
I listened to it so much, and Benjamin Clementine. I looked this up as you were getting to it because I was like, I'm going to talk about this song.
Yep. Oh yeah!
Wow, what a voice! And you know what I found out after the fact. I looked up some of his individual work, and I was like, man, like what a voice! Just a fascinating like sonic performance. I guess he just got like torn apart for Hallelujah Money because people hated the song because it was too out there and too weird. And like I guess he was in an interview. This might be hearsay, but I guess in some interview somewhere he said he regretted that he had done Hallelujah Money, and that broke my heart. I was like, what? This song is like so art. It's just very art. And I was like, oh, I love that song.
And like that is kind of the give or take of a lot of the Gorillaz projects.
Yeah.
That is an issue that does happen. And it sucks because, again, my problem with the album for Humans is it's all collab, no Gorillaz.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
That was the big complaint that I had, where it's all collab, no Gorillaz.
Yeah, I could see that being frustrating for sure.
And it sucks, but at the same time, it's like, does the album have good songs? Yeah, it's a good album. It's got good music. But it's not the album that I wanted.
I see.
Because everyone wanted that classic funk rock mix back.
Well, and they put a Z in it.
And rap.
They put a Z in it, which is a callback to Demon Days, right? Like, so, like...
Yeah, it's callback to Demon Days, callback to OG Gorillaz album. And, that was just like one of the main things everyone wanted to see. Everyone was just happy they were back. The Now that came out after... It's whatever. It's like it was. You could tell this was like them sort of finding themselves again, where it's
Sure.
like this is more of them because this was them directly responding to, we want more gorillas, here's more gorillas. The album's just okay because this is them with less collabs.
Yeah.
But then they're like, okay, well, you guys are still finding yourselves. And they're like, okay, well, our next one came out in a very specific time. Now, the next one is Song Machine Season 1 Strange Times. And I'm going to tell you right now, this was 100% a COVID project. This was the COVID project that it started, and then the pandemic started at the same time. So it turned into them traveling to meet with the artist where they were to record whatever was there. And then move to the next location. So the album sort of turned into, each song was slow released because the album was basically being made live, and each song would be uploaded as its own video. And then when the album was done, they packaged it together, and then they would shoot some of the music videos while they were there, and then that's why some are in location. And I think, at least to me, I think the album's pretty good. I think it's got a lot of variety in between different artists, different styles. It's just fun. I mean, look, you could go listen to Pink Phantom, which has got Elton John and Black, and it's great. Or you could just go through like the whole list on the like Désolé is like one of the better songs on an album. Momentary Bliss is one of my favorite ones, and it's just so ridiculous. There's like a ton of good songs in that album, and you got a wide variety of collaborations. Obviously, Valley of the Pagans with Beck in it is like awesome, and there's a lot of just good stuff. It's a good album. I hope they actually do a second one of these albums, but who knows? It may have been just a product of its time.
Right.
Follow-up album was all right, not that great. I think its headliner song was mostly because it had what's his name? Bad Bunny, which yep, that one was pretty good, and New Gold was pretty good from that one. And then after that, like their most recent one, The Mountain, it's good. I think it's pretty good. It's looking like it's honestly pulling less numbers, but this to me, like The Mountain, that album feels like a project on the level of like they wanted to make another Plastic Beach.
Sure. This is what I love
Yeah.
about talking about music. This is the first time we've been able to talk about music in person, actually. But
Oh yeah.
when I talk to people about music, I'm like, are you an album person? And people look at me and they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, modern music consumption is people go to Spotify and they hit shuffle and they find the songs they like, and they use an algorithm to tell you what other songs you might like, and you only hear the same couple songs from the same couple artists over and over again. And I've always been an album person. Case in point, finally just got this in the mail today. This is the Wow Signal by Muse. I've listened to it I think 3 or 4 times today already. It's delicious. I would say track 4 through 9 are straight fire, and the rest are also good, but track 4 to 9, oh my god. But I've always been an album person. I like looking at albums maybe in the same way that I look at RPGs or video games. I look at them as a complete product. And
Yeah.
I always appreciate discourse that takes these works of art and looks at them as a complete product. And it's like, I don't know. I can't separate myself from that level of I don't want to say analysis because that sounds like, highbrow, hoity-toity.
I totally, no, like, trust me, like, I absolutely understand what you're getting at, because it's like, to me, I think understanding the story of how the album came to be is also just as fascinating as listening to the album itself sometimes.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
let me say
Because
this.
when you understand some of the mindset, it changes.
Let me say this about you, again, for my viewers.
Mhm. Yeah.
If you like video games, and Vice is playing something that you are interested in, or it's a nostalgia thing or whatever, like, you should be tuning in to Vice's streams, because Vice is going to be like, oh, so in this interview, this designer, like, you just go off on like this esoteric knowledge about how it came to be.
Trust me, I do that all the time.
I love it.
I do that
It's one of my
all the
favorite things.
time.
I'm like, I don't know anything about this game, but you just start talking about stuff. And I'm like, this is cool. I didn't know any of this, and nor would I have ever. Nor will it impact my life, but it's neat. You know what I mean?
No, that happens
So-
a lot. Like, it's look, to me, that's my personal thing, where it's like, even to like give you an example, a controversial one, example like with Yick. Yick is like a game that is typically viewed as being pretty bad, but even like just conversation with some friends on the side, I'm like, on stream, yeah, we are harsh with it, but the thing is, it's like, it's kind of difficult when you're in a situation with like a whole bunch of people in a call and you're streaming it. It's very difficult to like sometimes absorb all of it, but like on the side, I've actually been like replaying it to sort of try and understand it better. And it's like, I feel like I understand the game mechanics better. I have some criticism with it, but I can see a bit clearer the vision. There's some things that I like, things that I don't like, and it's like I can kind of understand. Is the game overhated? Absolutely, but at the same time, it's like my genuine criticisms come from more mechanical points where it's like, look, people will argue the characterization and story all they want,
Yeah,
but like on a technical level, that's really where a lot of my harsher criticisms come from because I could see that they're trying to do esoteric stuff and it's very true to some of their source materials, but at the same time, it's difficult because when I'm playing the RPG and it plays not great, of course I'm gonna be like, oh, this sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what
But,
I think?
it's a matter of like trying to be fair.
I think there's an element too of like, so this is because I haven't watched through the full Yick streams start to finish, and if you don't know, it's Y2K a postmodern, Y2K a postmodern RPG, but the 2 is in the middle, so it's called Yick, whatever. And it's like, okay, it's a postmodern RPG, and so you were starting this out, and I was like, well, I don't know what this is, so I'm watching, I'm in chat with people, whatever, and there was at least one person who found you through the category clearly, who was like all excited, like somebody's gonna do my favorite game, and it was that weird beginning intro where you're like in this ethereal space and nothing makes any sense, and the character walks up to a fountain and you interact with it, and it says it's a fountain of water, and then it said the fountain does not heal you, and I was like, I get this game, like immediately I was like, I get it. Postmodern deconstruction. It's just taking this moment to be like, you're in an RPG, so you think this fountain maybe is magical, and so you have an expectation. So they're playing off your expectations as an audience member, and I'm like, clever, cool. So I remember typing that in chat. I was like, oh, I can see how this is a deconstruction. And then this one person in chat, who I think went on to be a problem later on, had to get moderated. Yeah. But they were just like, I don't know why everybody says this is a deconstruction. This is just a game. And I'm like, nah, like
it's like
it's a media literacy thing. Like you need to
and it's like and honestly, it's like that. My friend brought up a good point on that, and I'm like, yeah, it's like I hadn't seen it from that perspective, but then again, it's like my only knowledge was like from what I've seen of the creator who got mad because people hated the game a lot more than he thought. And it's funny because I understand completely. Yeah, like the point that they brought up was like, well, if it's a piece of art that's designed to be bad on purpose to evoke a point, then is it successful? And I guess in that regard, I think it is. But it ultimately ended up being too successful, and well, people just hated it. But I think that's not fair to it as well, in a sense. And that's kind of why, like, out of curiosity's sake, I was just looking into it again on the side, and I'm like trying to be a little bit more level-headed, I guess, without like a whole panel of everyone. And it's been interesting looking at it again because it's like, I can kind of see where some things come from, and I guess it's like looking at these things with like a critical discerning eye, or at least just wanting to understand a bit more what's going on. Like I was talking with one of my friends while I was like trying to play the game again recently to like go through that intro sequence again to like understand how the gameplay works, because it does explain it, but I don't know what the stats do. How do I know? So I looked it up on the wiki because all of the Steam guides were shit posts. Like, how am I supposed to know? Right. So, you end up in situations like that where you're like trying to understand and sift through it, and that's how that works. But like that, and I appreciate that. It's like what you mean to the Wizard is how I subscribe to Twitter. Thank you, because it's like like especially like I think Xenosaga is another good example of that, where it's like the funniest thing is it's like I always joke, oh, I hate this game. No, I don't. I actually really do like Xenosaga. I will admit that, but it's mostly because problems. I like it because I can. It's got problems, and it's like I could see where things work really, really well, and they do really well, like good things. But that's why I get upset, because it's like you're so close. You're so close to doing something great.
So I don't know.
And then you drop the ball.
I don't know if you saw my crash out or any evidence of my crash out. And this is a game that people are like deathly like protective about spoilers about. So I'm not going to give any spoilers. But Expedition 33, very evocative game, very much designed to make you feel.
I enjoyed it.
And
it was very good. Yeah.
So there's a certain event, and man, do I have thoughts about it. And I'm like, look, I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to see. But like I've been very, very deep read, close read, analytical about my reasons for what I had a challenge with it, and it's been fascinating because I got into like a prolonged. It was probably a 45-minute to an hour long voice call discussion on my server with other patron members talking about this element of the game, and I've had multiple conversations now with people who are like, yeah, it's they're like, I think it'll dress this for you. I think it'll win you back. for this one element.
Mhm.
But then I've had other really deep conversations, and they're like, oh, actually, now that I actually hear your criticisms of that, I'm not sure it's gonna win you back. And I'm like, we'll find out. I haven't given up yet. But like, I just, there's something about it, and I've kind of stumbled onto it. Like, maybe it's a media literacy thing, maybe whatever. But like, you have an analytical lens for everything you engage with, and I also try to bring that when I'm doing like my close reads of RPGs and stuff. It's like the intro 2 pages of an RPG will take me 20 minutes to go through because I'm like word choice and like doing all this stuff. People are like, why are you doing that? I'm like, I don't know how not to. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's important.
No, and that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, it is important. Like, that is like, not to understate. Yeah, no, that is important. You know what I mean?
But yeah, it's been fun to find that niche because, you know, creating a channel and creating content, you know, if anybody out there is like thinking about doing it, it's like, well, what are you going to create? Why are you going to create it? These are good questions to answer. And I think like you put earlier, like, what do you want to get out of it? Make sure that it's feeding back into you, so you're not just giving, and because you might not get back what you think you're going to get back. So you need to find joy in the giving.
Absolutely.
But it's been fun because I knew I was going to talk about RPGs. I knew I was going to play some video games. I knew I was going to play some solo RPGs, and I knew I was going to do topical discussions. I knew that, but I didn't realize that like apparently the way that I read RPGs is actually kind of unique. And I've had like designers of the RPGs I've looked at being like, thanks for this like really introspective close read of everything. I'm like, I guess people don't do that. They kind of flip through and they want to look at the classes and the mechanics. And I'm just like, I'm like, they used this word here and it means everything.
Well, yeah, that is also like the other thing too. It's like the phrasing and context of a lot of these other things as well is the tricky part about that. Like, it's like what I really enjoyed about when I read through like the what's it called, like the Megaton tabletop game, was the fact that like it thought about asking questions that you wouldn't have thought about. Where it's like it said, for roleplay purpose, in the original game for Nocturne, you can only be as a fiend, but for the gameplay in this, we want you to be humans and demons as well. Now, that's something that you usually would not be able to do, because the only games that you could be a human in were like games from the 90s or like the early 80s or like the late 80s on like the Megaton front. So it was very interesting for that to be in the Nocturne setting, where they said the interesting dynamic and how you as a GM should shift about this is demons are actively looking for humans. And the only humans that would be around are the ones that haven't gotten caught yet. So it depends on how do you want to write that. Or you could do it how I would say, work it out like how SMT4 does it, where the humans that are left have banded together to form a hunters association. And they basically either work as mercenaries in a sense versus demons, or as like an underground network of people working together against them. And it's like it's like it literally, the book is like free ball. It will give you some ideas, and they give you some backgrounds where they're like, you could be a news reporter, and this could be one of the things that your plan is. You could be a former soldier of the military that's now gone, where your goal is to find that old military base that you were going to go to regroup with your friends, or other things like that. And they give you a lot of good conversation starters. But then they answer some of the other interesting questions, and my most important question: what do they eat? How do you live? And they say, well, in this setting, it's an undetermined amount of time since the end of the world. The world ended, you survived somehow. But the thing is, the way the world is now, time is not really a thing anymore. We go by the phases of whatever the magical creature in the sky is. And then the other thing is, you have sort of seemed to notice that for humans, your bodily functions have more or less are now in stasis. You don't need to necessarily worry about eating. You don't necessarily need to worry about other things like that, because for you, you're kind of like at the wit's end of a human on that point, and for magical purposes and for also other logical things, you don't have to worry about that anymore. But you know who does? The demons. They get hungry.
Oh man.
And they're looking for energy.
Yeah.
And humans are the cash cow of that, because it's either that or they have to go and beat up other demons that have more, and that's how it works. And I'm like, I think that is a very clever way. And I think, and it's funny because like, I know I've talked about this before with Hime, where it's like a lot of like the warnings or like way they discussed content at the start of these RPG books. Some people get annoying, like, oh, it's the same message in every book. Yes, but they're there for reasons. But also what was really interesting was I appreciate how the Megaton book was written as if like this were your or like this could have been your first TTRPG. So they keep that in mind, and they also say like explaining how sessions work,
Right.
explaining who a GM is, and then also talking about like saying, my favorite thing is the book goes, if you don't know what to do, keep it nocturne. Think what works in the style and setting, and
Cool.
then go from there.
Cool.
And I like that where it's like, you could say, oh, it's very handholdy, but I think that's good, especially for the type of thing. Is like this is a tabletop game based on a video game, and you're gonna get a lot of people who maybe have never played a tabletop game to try this,
Mm-hmm.
so they might look to that as an example. And then I think, well, they wrote some other additional scenarios for other locations that were in the game or new locations that they added to the game. And I think it's very cool because they added situations that were just not prevalent. So they added there's a building that's surrounded with like toxic waste, and essentially there's poisonous gas and stuff in there. But in there is a survivor of a teacher and the like who is left of his class, and you can find a way to try to save them or work with them or even negotiate with demons to have them be taken. And it's like a number of different outcomes, and like some of the fun scenarios that they've written together are great. And then like they even have a scenario where it's like, you know what, we had to do it to you because we knew that you wanted to. They're like, it's so funny. The scenario is just the demi fiend is here, and it's just oh shit. Like literally, it starts off with he is coming, and you're like, oh shit. It's like you and your friends are the last bastions of guards for one of the other plot characters, and he's coming. You have this is a high level battle scenario, and it's like you and your friends have to fight the main character from the game, and you have to protect the lady. And if you win, congratulations. If you don't, it's understandable.
Right. Oh man.
So it's like I like that they had a lot of fun with creating these scenarios and also teaching people how to play a tabletop game, but in a way that's fun. Because like I think if you want to read like to me, in my opinion, I talk about this game all the time. My favorite tabletop RPG book that I've ever read is probably Triangle Agency because people I can understand if you're looking through the book to like read the book for like I need a rule or something, you can get kind of annoyed trying to find it
Because it's in character, right? It's in universe.
It's all in character and in universe. And if you want to read a book that's fun, read that book because it starts off as an employee manual. Then you get to the manager section and it goes, okay, so screw those guys, get them out of the room, shove them over there. I'm going to show you how you actually do it. And then a malevolent force takes over and things start going crazy and you jump back and forth between different pages and it's tons of fun. It's like one of the funnest tabletop books that I've read, where you're jumping back and forth like it's a choose your own adventure. And your players, when they're making their character, have to do that too, where I straight up told them, I said, read the rules and let me know if you got a demerit because I have to know.
Oh my
so
gosh.
If you looked at the pages that it said you shouldn't look at, you have to be honest, because my favorite thing is it'll say, look at this page, and it'll have 2 pages, and one of them has like a fancy like magazine ad that looks so silly, and then at the bottom it says, by the way, take 1 demerit.
That's so silly.
Because it knows you're gonna look at it and go, ooh, what's this?
The wildest game that I just got introduced to by someone in my Patreon is called Realis, and I've only flipped through it, and I don't even know. It's okay. The premise of it is that there's this glowing planetoid thing in the center, and it's called some crazy name, Realis the Real or something like that. And the rest of the setting is contained within a giant sphere around that planet. And there are 1,000 moons inside of this sphere going around that planet. And so the entire game is the 1,000 moons of this world. And there's like the sun is like above, and like there's this void below the planet, and it's all just exploration. But all of the mechanics are sentences. It's mind blowing. And the way it's written though, and the way it's laid out like an academic collegiate textbook. And I know that sounds boring and dry as hell, but like it's not.
I've actually got something really funny to point out here because Killer mentioned it before a while back, and it's also to coincide with what I just said. It's funny because the setting you basically described is just a nocturne setting.
Oh, is that right?
It's that's the setting.
That's so
It's
funny.
basically the world is a spear. You're in the spear world, and in the center of the spear, that's acting as the center point of gravity, and also the sun is the god that's going to remake the world. And it's funny because it's the same thing. But exactly, you can take that premise and shape it into whatever you want, and it can still work. I love that. That's great.
Wild.
That's awesome.
So I've definitely I'm gonna look into that pretty soon here.
Oh yeah, that sounds really cool. Especially like how you mentioned like it's written like a textbook, because I think it's funny because like I've tried to one of my cousins, she asked me about like tabletop books, and she's like, I have a question about, because she sees a lot of these when she goes to buy books at like Barnes and Nobles and stuff like that, and she asked me about it one time. She's like, I kind of want to take a look at these books because they look cool, but I don't understand what they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, think of it as like a fantasy textbook.
Yeah.
You're looking at a textbook for a world that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And that's the best way you can have fun with it.
And so we just looked at Household on my stream the other day, and Household is also written in universe, and you're to an extra level. The game exists in the game that you're reading exists in the universe about those people themselves, playing the game about themselves. And then it gets discovered by our world, and we get it republished. And that's the book that we're reading. It's wow.
Okay, that's really fun.
So that's cool. But I have to read this section. So these sentences in Realis, right? It basically describes what a character can always do. And if it's true and it's not conflicted by a different sentence, then you basically win and your thing comes true, whatever you're trying to do. So, but you accumulate marks to like increase them. And as you increase them, you add more detail to the sentence, which makes it stronger, but makes it more narrowly applicable. So you get better at something, but worse at everything else. It's this weird push and pull. It says here, when a player marks their third mark next to a class sentence, it is primed in bold to become more real. This process is known as realization. Okay, cool. Just cool game technology, cool game turns. And then it goes, there's this thing you can do called honing a sentence, where you temporarily make it more powerful, but then it goes back. But then it says, you cannot hone a primed sentence. That's one that has 3 marks. You cannot hone a primed sentence. Primed sentences always draw themselves toward realization. And I'm just like, this is like, what? Like, that's amazing. It's so, I don't know. It's like the crazy stuff that you can find in games out there is just mind-blowing.
If True Namer worked properly, that's what I'm hearing.
Is that what it is? Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Okay, Vice.
Hey, what's up, son?
I'm hitting the end of my time here. Because I don't stream for 9 hours. I just don't do it.
That's okay. That's okay. No one should.
So, is there any? I mean, I don't know if there's anything. I mean, we could clearly talk for hours and hours. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about, or if there's anything? I guess, and it's not an AMA stream really, but if anybody in chat on either side, curious about anything, now's the time to do it. Yeah. We'll start wrapping up.
Yeah. If anything, I guess what do I want to? It's like, I've talked a lot about like, I guess sort of how I got into VTubing and stuff, and I gotta say, it's like I'm just glad that I was really able to make a lot of good friends. Really got to meet a lot of awesome people, from just like simple collabs back and forth to just doing a bunch of stream stuff, working on campaigns, and you'll definitely be seeing that Triangle Agency campaign soon.
Yeah,
I'm just finishing up some additional details on it. More or less, it's been going over a lot of my notes on that, and it's going to be something that's going to be a lot of fun once we're back. And I think it's going to be a good time. I'm glad that people are having a lot of fun with a lot of the content that I've been doing, of just whether it be me looking at older RPGs or playing like tabletop games with my friends or other things like that. I'm just glad that people are having fun hanging out with me, and that's really what it is for me at the end of the day. Like I said, I've always wanted to put on a good show of either something that people can hang out with and have some fun, or even I can just enjoy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm like I tell everyone, it's whatever you want to get out of streaming, as well as like, are you having fun? And if you're not having fun, then what are you doing? You know
I had a worker that worked. I worked on cruise boats for a little while, not like cruise boats, but like day trip, small boats. Yeah. And we would alternate the trips. You do the first trip, you're the bartender. The second trip, you're the narrator, tour guide person. Then you'd switch back and forth throughout the day with your other crew person. So I'm at the bar. Yeah. There's nobody down there. And my deckhand comes down the stairs. And he's my senior deckhand. He's training me. It's my first summer. And he looks me dead in the eye. He goes, "Are you having fun?" And I'm just kind of like taken aback. I was like, yeah. Yeah. And he says, "Okay, good. Because if you're not having fun, we're doing something wrong." And I have like taken that. I've never forgotten that moment. I've taken that forward to me through like every job I've ever had, every endeavor I've ever had. It's like you said it like almost word for word the way that he said it to me that day. So I think that's so awesome.
Yeah,
Super cool.
yeah, because like honestly, like that's how I see it. Because it's like, look, at the end of the day, if you're doing this and having fun, I think that's great. For me, I do it as a way, like, for me personally, as I mentioned, it's like not only do I want to do it to see if I can make a fun show that's good, but it's also a way for me to really express myself creativity, or like, all my creativity in different ways.
Right.
I know Zach would kick my ass on this because when I was like, oh, I don't really view myself as an artist, but in a sense, you're right. I have created some art with some of my emotes that I've drawn. A lot of like these stream assets that you see here on screen on my end are basically just me in Photoshop, really. But like a lot of the stuff that I've done is like, to me, it's more like it's a way for me to really help push myself creatively. And the reason why like I didn't really see myself as an artist was I for me it's more like it's more of like I view art as like I think other people can do it much better than I can. That's why I always get a little bit of embarrassed with it, where I'm like, it's I wouldn't quite always call the stuff that I do art, because it's can be viewed as art, and yes, technically, I guess, yes, you're right. But at the same time, it's more like it's a lot of me just like really trying to work on stuff in a goofy, silly, creative way. And at least to me, it's like I feel like I hear art and I'm like, I think of like a high standard, something crazy. But you know what I mean? It's like, that's why, like, for me, I'm like, when people say it's like, oh, you're drawing some art or doing an art stream, it's like, I guess I am, yeah, technically. It's just because it's like, I go, there are people that are so much better than me, and I think they deserve so much better credit than I.
Yeah, you're the classic person who wants to shine the spotlight on everyone else. The irony is that Zach might come after you for not letting yourself be called an artist, and I used to as well all the time. I'd come after you for that, but then Zach will sit there and say, "Oh, I'm not a VTuber," and I'm like, "Dude." So yeah, shots fired back at you.
Just give it a little bit, you'll be there. Give it a little bit, you'll see.
So anyway.
Give it a little bit. It happens. It happens. Like, I just want you to know.
Yeah.
Just you're a PNG tuber. Just wait. Just you wait.
See, yeah, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter, Zach.
Just wait.
It doesn't matter.
Like it's okay. There's another person I know out there. Another person out there I know who I can take a jab at, where I'm like,
yeah,
they didn't really like VTubers, and here they are now.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a big old circle of people who don't like to take credit or appreciation for anything and point the finger at everybody else and say how everybody else is great. So that's the community that's the community that Vice is building around himself, at least. So, well, thank you, Vice, for giving me your time.
Again, I appreciate it. Yeah, no problem. Thank you again for scheduling this. I was having like our long conversation like this.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't bore you too long with a lot of my long-winded rambling, and then I literally sat here and pulled up my list of albums, and I'm like, I like this one, but not that one, and then there's this and that.
Yeah, no, it's all about, it's just about, getting to express the things that we're excited about and joyful for, and it's a good time. So if anybody listening on the Vice side or my side, if you want me to interview anybody else, go harass them. Although I will say, okay, don't go harass them. don't actually
maybe not in that wording.
Because here's the thing, okay, they also need to be somebody that like I feel like I know well enough to have a lengthy conversation with. If you want to see me do this with somebody else, but Vice and I just filled 3 hours, and really you only need one to have a good stream. So consider it. If you want to whisper in somebody's ear, anybody's ear out there that you think I might get along with, well, I'd be happy to do more of these. They're fun. They're good chats. They introduce people that don't know each other to different communities, and like I said, if you're a fan of games and analysis about games, make sure you have followed Vice. If you're on my side and you haven't followed Vice yet, go do that. Twitch.tv/Vice_Capitan. It's all spelled out there on the screen. With that, I'm going to go straight to my ending screen, and then I'll disconnect there, Vice, and then you can have time to do your goodbyes with your people. If you're on my side, jump over to Vice's side, because Vice will probably maybe raid out to somebody, and you can ride along the coattails, and we'll do it that way. But with that said,
and again, I gotta say thank you again.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out.
Everyone on my end, hey, if you want, check the pinned message. You can see everything on London's end, and also obviously go subscribe to them. They're awesome.
Yeah, come over and subscribe. It's free. It doesn't charge anything. So. All right,
Exactly.
awesome.
There you go.
It's been a pleasure, Vice. Thanks so much for hanging out, and I will see you around.
Yeah, no
in the
problem.
future.
Thank you so much. It's been great.
All right, take
All
care.
right. Thank you.